Cortanis, you are the lucky winner.
Oh shit. Okay.
So on last week's episode,
So last time we had finished fighting off the group from Groon's squad. Or Grood? Groon.
Grood.
I know there's Groon. I know there's a Groon also, but there's a Grood. Oh, so
Yes,
um,
that's Earthbreaker Groon is who you're
yes,
thinking of.
correct. So yeah, we took care of the squad that was sent to stop us. We kept going.
Well, technically they were sent to recruit you.
Well, recruit us or stop us, whichever came first, technically. We just thought they were. We just made them think that they were recruiting us. But afterwards, we ended up listening to our Knoll friends about what was happening in the Turst Fields, which was basically that Grood's forces were about to attack it with a fairly large group, and so they were in need of us to get the assistance of the other Knoll tribes in the area to help defend the Turst Fields. So we had a lot of conversations about who would go to which group. They all prefer different things and have different ways of dealing with stuff. So ended up being Fike and Cortanis are going to the no, not the Riverwalkers. The White Snouts.
Cortanis and Fike are going to the White Snout
correct.
tribe.
White
Yes,
Snout
That is
tribe.
correct.
Shango
With Ranga.
and Erdan.
With
with Ranga.
Ranga.
Shango and Erdan were gonna go to the Riverwalker tribe with the leader,
Isnel.
the chief of the chief of their tribe, and then the last two are going to go to the priest eaters.
Yes.
Wait, I thought Fike was going to the Preceders.
No.
Fike said
that would be Noxus and Sayao will be going to the Priest Eaters.
yes. But the night before, as we were setting up, we also met with, I guess, the leader of the one of the leaders of the Shields from Westrun. Isabella?
Yes. Captain Isabella.
Captain Isabella. And then afterwards, as we were getting ready to sleep and prepare for the next day, Noxus decided to tell Erdan about his background, and shit went down. And that's kind of where we ended.
Shit went downhill.
Yes, you all. As you all night to go to sleep, you all come to consciousness in the morning. It's not cold, but it's overcast and cloudy, and there's a stiff wind blowing through the town. Not anything that's like knocking down branches or anything like that, but you can see that any flags that are flying are football. They are fully flat against the breeze. As you come to consciousness, you've been fetched by a runner, a small halfling who's asked you to, before you leave, to go negotiate with the three tribes. The captain Isabella has asked I'll be so kind as to take breakfast with her in her tent, where the essentially war room has been set up.
We shall be on our way at once.
Very good. I shall tell her that you are on your way then. And he turns on his heel and darts off at quite a pace, like literally running, doing as his job is named, back to carry the message. As the rest of you come to consciousness, finish, rolling up your bedrolls and...
I'm going to don my new breastplate and
Okay. you equip your new shield. A little heavier than you're used to being,
Yeah.
but you think you'll be able to handle it.
I'm a big, strong guy.
Yeah, totally. Do you all head to the war room or war
I do.
tent?
I do.
Does everybody go?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
I guess so.
come to the tent. You can see that standing at the opened entrance on either side are two shields. What are commonly referred to as shields, though their exact titles are shields of the plain. They are a military force that is centered in Western, that is intended to protect the eastern part of the continent of eastern part of the continent of Taldore. There is usually a regiment of about 150 soldiers here in Turst, headed up by Captain Isabel, who you met yesterday evening in town. As you come into the tent, you can see that there looks to be a large wooden table that may have been grabbed from the local tavern, and laid out on top of it is what looks to be a map of a rudimentary map of the surrounding area, with several marks made on it. As you all kind of come in and hover around, Captain Isabella stands up to recognize you. And this is the map that is essentially this is the map of Turst that is essentially laid out. Ignore the labels and words and stuff, but that is essentially laid out on the table for you. The red lines, see, as you come in, the red lines indicate little what look like makeshift barricades that are placed to represent barricades or palisades on the map. Um, as you come in, um, Captain Isabel recognizes or notices you all coming in. She says, "Yes, I'm glad you were able to uh, come before you had to take off so early. I know that what you're doing is of the utmost importance, especially if you're going to be able to get back in time." There's food available. I was hoping to just get a moment of your time to get so that you could get a grasp of the situation here, so that when you go to negotiate with these tribes, you can fully explain to them the direness of our situation. Um,
Certainly. That shall be beneficial.
she indicates so you guys grab food and kind of like stand and eat. There's like porridge and some eggs, like very thrown together communal, kind of like scoop something onto a plate and eat kind of setup. As she starts pointing to things um, on the map. She says, "So this is essentially what we're looking at. We've been able to construct cavalry barricades and some palisades around the town to make some choke points and funnel points, at least." Um, Using the existing structures of the town to try and um, extend their reach. She indicates all along the southern portion of the town are full on palisades that they were able to construct between the buildings, wooded areas that are thick enough that it would be difficult to get through. And in and amongst the buildings, they've made on the roofs little like archery nests or snipers nests on the roofs of the buildings that are incorporated into the walls. Um, they didn't do as much along the northern side. except for entrances in the roads, because they're fairly certain that the forces will be coming from the south. Um, and
Can you remind me
sorry.
real quick? We matched it up with the map that we'd found from one of the guys, right?
This is different map than
Yeah,
that.
but the forces are in the south over the.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, you informed them of that when you got here last night,
Yeah.
so that they could have some idea of troop movements. You shared with them the map that you found. And so they've been setting up mostly on the south here. She gives you an idea of the forces that you guys have at your disposal at the moment. At the moment, you have a regiment of shields. You have the Terst Militia and the Dustpaw Knolls. So I'm going to for these units. So and I'm going to sort of kind of explain how like massive combat like this will work. It's very similar to normal combat, except initiative always goes you guys meet my guys, right? So like you guys all go,
And then you
guys go, and then all your guys go, and then all of my guys go. So your first regiment is the Shields of the Plains. They have an attack score of +5. Their damage is 2d8 +5.
Attack score +5. Damage is 2d8.
+5. They have a defense of 18, a morale of 150, and they have a special ability. Most units have a special ability. They have a special ability called Phalanx. When they group into a phalanx, they are immune to ranged attacks. They are melee fighters. They wear plate armor. They're big, heavily armored. They wear plate armor with big tower shields and have spears. Very, Spartans 300, except in full plate armor kind of feel to them. Now, morale is essentially a stat that is kind of like a unit's hit points. It kind of matches the amount of people, not exactly one for one, but the number of people in the unit. As your morale or HP drops, you start whoever is leading, whichever one of you is, because each one of you would have to lead one of these units, right? So as they lose morale, you have to start making morale checks so that they don't like try to surrender. Um, so and the DC for the morale checks get
Higher and higher as we
higher
go.
and higher the lower their morale gets.
Makes sense.
You have the Terst Militia. They have an attack of +3. They do damage of 2d6 +3. They have a defense of 14, a morale of 75. But their special ability is defending home. When fighting to defend their home, both their attack and morale double. So their attack would go to +6, and their morale would go to 150. However, their damage and defense do not change. And lastly, you
How is
have
defending home defined? So as long as they don't.
if they are fighting in the defensive Terst, like if Terst is being attacked.
Okay, so as
and
long
they
as they
are
don't run out to chase down enemies, basically.
no, if they leave, basically, if Terst is being attacked and they are defending Terst,
Yeah.
they have that extra push because home, like they can literally look over their shoulder and there's their house.
Gotcha.
So it's like
It's a boost.
yeah. And then finally, you have the Dustpaw that have an attack of +4. Their damage is 2d8 +4. They have a
2D.
defense of 15, a morale of 125, and their special is that they are versatile. They can attack at ranged or in melee.
Okay.
Do we need
Those are the forces you have at your disposal at the moment.
I'm gonna say,
And
I'm
what are
never
the
gonna get everyone's
numbers?
help on this because I never played Risk. I sucked at it.
That's all right.
Do we
So-
need do we
so
need
we
a
have-
range for them? Sorry, for the
No,
encounters?
it's not that. There's a lot of openness to the rules of this because it's going to be
Okay.
very theater of the mind because we're
Right.
talking about forces of like
Gotcha.
hundreds,
Yeah.
as opposed to like squad combat, like SWAT combat, which is like what you guys are usually.
Yeah.
Right.
So we will have like on this map, like I will have tokens and stuff placed to represent the units and things, but their movement will be kind of as like these guys charge up to here.
Yeah.
Right.
Like
Okay.
in my mind, I
And-
think it'll take them a couple rounds to charge up to there or whatever.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like each one of these tiles is definitely not like 5
5
feet.
feet exactly, but
So
it's
probably
also
like 30 feet. So it's like
Yeah.
one square is that's your movement of turn would be probably what's gonna
well,
happen.
not even so much that it's
It's more open, right? All right. Cool.
So what is the because what I have written down is we have 150 shields, 100 militia that are armed right now. We could potentially have 100 more, and then we have 125 dust paw. Is that correct?
sorry, what was the question?
I'm just making sure. I'm trying to figure out how many we have.
How many you have? Oh, the morale scores.
No, of the actual
Actual
units.
number of people.
The morale is kind of the number of like individual soldiers, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So like
Yeah,
when they're doing damage, 2d8 plus 4 is like collectively as a unit, that's how many of the other side they took out, either through killing or injuring to the point where they are out of the fight, right? So you can still have like healing units that can come in, or you guys, if you have like a mass healing word or something, you might be able to do that as heal multiple units and stuff like that in your if you're leading a unit or if you're part of a unit or whatever. So and you're also considered like heroes. So like when you roll damage, it's like, oh, you just took out like 6 guys or whatever. Because you're heroes. You're not just an average terse militia guy. You're you're PCs. Like, I mean, you have special powers.
As Marisha would say, we're gods.
Yeah, you guys are basically gods.
I assume my sneak attack is not going to stack, and I don't just like run like Naruto run through a wave of people just slitting throats.
You
Oh my
sneaking through the
gosh.
middle of the.
No, but like picture like any huge like war movie you've seen where like Brad, I know it's not a great movie, but Brad Pitt and Troy, where he's like runs up, like block,
What are you
dodges out of the
talking
way,
about
takes
right
out guy, spin block, takes out another guy. Like,
Guys,
yeah,
you
It's
can create a
amazing
peasant
movie.
railgun in
Basically-
this. Peasant
We're
railgun.
basically the main character, and we're taking out like all those people where the people in the background that are our soldiers are like barely fighting back and forth and it's even.
exactly.
deal.
Yeah, like or when you watch those movies where like they center and they have all the extras in the background, just like sort of flailing at each other. But you guys are it's you get what I'm trying to get at here. So,
And what do you mean Troy wasn't a good movie? That was a damn good movie.
I mean, it was an okay movie, but
No, it was an amazing movie. I loved that
it
movie.
was pretty
I thought it
good.
was good.
It was pretty good.
All right.
It's better when you look back on it than it was originally received. I feel like. Anyway, so she gives you a rundown of the situation. She goes, "We know they're coming from the south, so we figure if we put biggest palisade on the south, put enough of our ranged archers from the Riverwalkers in and amongst there, we can force them to split their forces to the left and right, where we can then place our forces and hopefully catch them in choke points."
I guess that sounds like a good idea.
course, it relies on us being able to bring the other tribes.
Well, as you can see, everything kind of relies on you being bring back the other tribes. If you can't, my recommendation is going to be to abandon Turst.
That's not a good idea. So yeah, we better succeed.
Don't get me wrong, I have faith in my men, but 150 soldiers against thousands of ravages and hobgoblins. For if what you say of the
Yeah.
and farmers with leather arm, grandfather's sword.
Then we must simply make sure not to fail in this endeavor.
Right.
Indeed. So if there's anything that I can do to assist you in this endeavor, you need only ask it.
Get more people.
'Tis our job.
There are more farmers coming in from their homesteads every day.
Is there a way that, like, I wish my dad was here. So like, do we have anything better than grandfather's old sword?
What do you
Like,
mean?
Like, is there a way we could help give the militia more stuff, equipment to help them? Like, I don't know, more armor. Just
I
is there
mean,
any-
unless you have like a bag of holding full originally made armor and weapons.
Hold on one second.
Just immediately like
And
turns
I'll
towards
open up my
Noxus.
bag. I'll open up my bag and I pull out all 12 javelins and I just keep pulling like a magician, like pulling everything, all the weapons I have, all
Just
the
like
leather
Vanna White.
armor I have.
You guys look at Captain Isabel, who's kind of like standing back on her back heel now, with her arms crossed in front of her on her breastplate, with this look on her face of like, well, okay, I stand corrected.
Art thou a diviner, Captain?
So I'm just going to start listing stuff off. If anybody does not want me to give this away, speak now or forever hold your peace. So I pull out one great sword. I pull out a hobgoblin plate armor. I pull out 2 long swords. I pull out 4 shields, 2 splint armor, 2 longbows with 40 arrows. I pull out 4 hide armor, 2 great axes, 2 morning stars, 4 short bows, plus 18 star 4 arrows. Who wrote that? Whatever that means.
Yeah, say
I don't know what that means.
4 quivers with 18 arrows each.
There we go. And then 4 short swords. I pull out 4 small leather armors. I don't know what that means.
For the children.
Yes, yes, for the children. For the children.
Do it for the children.
They can't walk. They're going on.
For the halflings or the gnomes.
Oh,
And then I also pull out this stone giant strength. And if anybody wants this,
The potion of stone giant strength?
Yeah, that's mine.
All right, putting it back in the bag.
Okay. All right, so I will say by donating all of that equipment, which you would then mark off from your bag of holding and lose.
Just real quick, anybody want to keep any of that stuff?
I think we're fine.
Yeah, the
Obviously, what
potion.
we do, we take the key of Drinna, we like shave down the end to make a keyblade out of it.
Yeah, we give them that too. We give them that. You guys want to give them that or no?
We do not give that away. That's very important.
Okay,
We're
we
not
keep
giving
that.
someone a
Key item,
keyblade that's
literally.
wooden.
That's
Okay,
literally
alright.
proof that you completed the task.
Okay, so
Anyway, so I will say by donating that to the Turst militia, their defense score goes from a 14 to a 15 from all the shields and armor that you gave,
Nice.
mismatched as it is. And because of all the arrows you gave them as well, they gain the versatile special as well.
Ooh.
So they can be melee or ranged.
okay.
Nice.
Now, did anybody want to keep any of that stuff?
I mean, just like 10 arrows, maybe.
I should be fine. Thank you, Noxus.
I'm pretty sure we can get you 10 arrows.
That's fucking hilarious. I forgot that you had all that shit in the bag of holding.
Everyone made fun of me the first session because I was hoarding weapons like some of the crazy cat lady, and then
Yeah.
we were
Which they were gonna be on
we
the
have to
episode
save
for Resident
Purse?
Evil.
No problem.
Well, you
Just
did go
Mary
around pick up
Poppins over there.
everything.
You are
Just letting it
now,
rain
you are now the
weapons.
Oprah of the Thirst Fields. You are, and you get armor, and you get a weapon. Everybody gets a weapon.
All right.
What do you want? A hand axe? We got you a hand axe.
I am saving it.
Please.
I am saving it now. I have it backed up just in case anybody decides to
All right.
speak their piece in the next 5 seconds.
Too late. They had their chance. All right, so you donate that to
Yeah.
the Terse Militia, increasing their ability a little bit.
So they go up to 15, you said, and
Their
then what was
defense,
this?
their defense goes from 14 to 15,
Yep.
and now not only do they have the defending home special ability, but they also have
Mhm.
the versatile special ability like the Dust Paw Knolls,
Cool.
where they can range or so they can do like volleys of arrows. Where they like in Braveheart where they go ready, loose, and then that they shoot
Right,
like
right.
dozen.
No, I took the 10 arrows out, Father Fike.
So you got your 10
I only
arrows
gave,
though, Fike.
Yeah,
Or
I only gave
whoever
him
said
30. So he has 10.
that. All right. At this point, you see, unless there's any other questions you have for Captain Isabella, or tasks that you think she asks if there's tasks you think that that you would like us to get started on. If you have any ideas for the defense of the city, we've have most of the village busy storing food and building cavalry barricades, like movable barricades, like the barricades I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
That like have one pole horizontally, and then there's like a bunch of X's connected to them that are sharpened, so that they're almost like a big version of a road spike. They're about like 5 feet by 5 feet by like 15 feet long, and they've got a bunch of those that they're like putting at different road entryways and in between different areas to make it difficult for like cavalry to ride in and stuff like that. But she says that's what she has most of the village working on at the moment, unless you had other ideas.
Sayao, Sayao, you were a soldier at one point, right? I mean, is there anything else? And yet, dude, Sayao, I gave him everything. Like whatever we have on our person, that's ours. Like I just took all the weapons out of the bag. Like if you have a bow on you, it's yours. If you had, I already gave him the 12 javelins, so we're all good.
Yeah, I was gonna suggest we do something with the javelins to make it harder for them to try to get in.
Like set traps.
We do have barricades.
Yeah, with like barricades and like maybe a couple of.
Well, that's exactly what I mean by like cavalry barricades is spike barricades. And I think so that's like all these red lines that you see on the map. That's essentially they're like makeshift barricades that they're building that they can like stand behind and fire arrows at people from. They're essentially trying to throw together defenses as fast as they can. So he has all the farmers and like workers in the village. She has them working on storing food, like in central locations, to potentially put up with a long siege until they can wait for reinforcements.
Is a siege to be expected?
She has not been able to scout the forces of Grood as of yet. So she is unaware of their capabilities. All she knows is what she's been hearing, the same things you guys have been hearing over the last several weeks and months. And that's Grood has brought with her own trained hobgoblins from Life in Mist Peninsula, and has been able to, with shows of strength, like band together several Ravager tribes, and now has a force which he thinks is big enough to take Turst.
What about laying traps as they come by, like areas that you think that they're gonna walk, or like the choke points that you're putting, like laying some traps.
What
there.
kind did you have in mind?
Like I don't know. I mean, I don't know if this is gonna work. It's just an idea, but like digging a hole and like putting like some of the javelins or putting some spikes in there and kind of disfiguring it so they can't tell, and when they walk on it they fall into a spike pit, or just a pit so that it takes them longer to get out, so and then we can even shoot into the pit. It's just something to slow them down.
Was there spots on the map that you thought would be a good spot for them?
Well, I mean, if anybody has an idea like that, there's a good spot, speak up. But like, I was possibly thinking maybe anywhere over here. Yeah, right there where Shango is pointing. Because that's a choke point. That's a point where they're going to come in. Because if they're coming from the south, this is the road they're taking, and they're going to see this long palisade, and this is the closest open spot they can get through. So I'm thinking that is where they're going to go first. The biggest part of them, like, have them come to us, not us go to them. Like, find a way to get to them and shoot as many arrows and range attack as much as we can to thin their troops. And when they get in close, that's when we, like, kind of like wait till we see the whites of their eyes type deal. But if there's some traps along there, they're going to fall in, and then we have an easier way to pick them off.
You watch as Isabel turns to one of her lieutenants who's kind of like standing there listening and taking notes, and she says, "You go get a detachment of men, send them to the general store to get equipped with shovels and other tools, and send them," and she starts indicating the spots on the map, to start digging. How deep would you say, Noxus?
Well, they're hobgoblins. There's what were the other ones? Hobgoblins,
Hobgoblins. There was bugbears. There was orcs. There was.
Just 8 foot.
I think 8 foot's good.
Just 8 foot. 8 foot's gonna be funny.
Well, some orcs can be 7 feet tall.
What is the time? What is the time required?
They're gonna still
to
fall.
Good point.
To dig a trench that deep.
That's why I said 8 foot.
She goes, I mean, I don't know that we could dig a trench to cover that whole area, but we could dig several large.
Several
large that you can camouflage.
Kind of pepper them throughout the area that we can
Exactly.
camouflage.
Exactly. Not a big giant trench. That's not gonna work.
What's up,
Point of
Sao?
order, Captain, if I may.
Yes.
Well, hang on.
Sao?
Oh, right. Sorry, Sao. Couldn't hear.
Do we have access to maybe catapults or something like that, or not really?
Unfortunately, I spoke to the local blacksmiths to see if they thought they could put something together in the amount of time they had, and they said without help. So unless any of you are skilled with tools of tinkering or blacksmithery,
unfortunately, I am not.
Unfortunately. Okay.
And I unfortunately do not have access to an arcane artillery battalion. So.
Speaking of which, perhaps a point of order. For those within the city limits, or perhaps on the edges, perhaps something, if any flour could be donated from stores. We came across some members of Groot's forces that may have either used teleportation magic or invisibility, and if it is the latter, perhaps something that could be thrown upon them to make them visible, maybe of use.
Yeah, like making it obvious when they take a step, we'll see their steps. Is that what you're saying?
It's also incredibly combustible.
She turns to her other lieutenant, female this time, and she says, "Lieutenant Danvers, isn't Crosby in Bravo platoon fancy himself some sort of alchemist?" And she says, "I believe so, Captain." She goes, "Get him on it." And she says, "Right away," and she runs out of the tent to deliver the message.
Danvers and Danvers. Okay, well that's good. Is there anything else that you guys can think of? Because I think that might be it. That I can think
the worst
of.
case scenario. That's we need to think about that one.
Worst case scenario, they come from. the east
No.
side
I believe the captain
palisade.
had the worst case scenario, and that was abandoning the town.
No, our worst case scenario.
Like us as a group.
No, we burn the fields. They're taking this place because they want food.
That's such a good idea.
I know this is absolutely 100% the last resort, but
Yeah,
they can't have this place and have what it makes.
that's a good point.
We need to set up a trap that would.
Well,
It's
but here's-
vile.
Captain
Poison.
is
Doom the
yeah.
population of Telderay to starvation.
I understand this. But if this falls, we rather not have it in their hands than our own.
It's easier to rebuild.
Sheriff Conrad pipes
Where?
up and or Margrave Giselle pipes up as listen, listen. I talking about worst case scenarios, and we are. If we were to do what you are suggesting, I'm not saying that the majority of Taldore would starve, but it is going to be a very hard year for the people of Taldore if we have to do what you're talking about.
Well, here's the thing.
If the town falls, it's going to be a very hard year for Taldore, regardless.
They
Yeah.
are going to have
And
access to it.
If the town falls, we can potentially. It will be hard, but we could potentially come and reclaim the village and salvage what we can with reinforcements from Western.
but what
Indeed.
if they get more monsters? What if they get something even stronger than what they're bringing now?
Well, what if?
Then we
I'm
bring
just-
something even stronger.
Or many different outcomes.
All right, those are our worst. The worst case scenario is because obviously the Margrave doesn't believe that getting rid of the fields is a good idea, and it is their land. So I mean,
And it is not a good idea.
and we don't have time to fight. So if anybody has any other ideas, let's move on so that we can get these gnolls here and give ourselves a best case scenario.
I have to rely on the military expertise of others.
I was just reading Seo's thing.
Yeah, I was trying to read it too. A
I
blanket?
literally saw that the other day. Yeah, it's basically like you take
Yeah.
2 cannonballs and you attach a silk
The rope.
sheet across it, and you soak it in oil, and then you shoot it, and you do like that big blanket, everyone underneath the big blanket like you
catches
did
on
at
fire.
school, and then you shoot a flaming arrow at it, and then it engulfs everything in flames.
Yeah,
Also-
yeah. That's a cool
that
idea.
also burns down the fields, just letting you know. But
Yeah, that's a good idea. But yeah,
So it also requires a giant blanket and 2 catapults and a bunch of
Yes.
oil. All of
Which
it.
is all things that you don't have. I mean, you have a bunch.
we could all run with one giant oily blanket from one side of the army to the other.
or we could just have the blanket out there covered with full like hay and stuff. And
Captain
oil,
Isabella. Captain
you know.
Isabella says, "I think what you've come up with is enough to keep us busy until you've returned." So, and she points outside the tent and she says, "These are from what we've been told, the 6 fast that the town has to offer." And you also see sitting already on 3 horses of their own is Sharik, Ranga, and Chief Isnell.
We do not take our own horses.
Those horses are like big, hardy Clydesdales.
Clydesdales.
After
Gotcha.
like quarter horses,
Gotcha.
because speed is of the essence.
I did have one question. Is there a plan for the women and children who are unable to fight, or the elderly and the sick?
We have been keeping them in the central part of the village, and
Well, I'll
Worst
say.
case scenario, we can flee north to Whitestone.
Well, I'll say this, and this is just a greenhouse idea. I know we need as many people as we can get. I'm saying if there's not many of them, I would say send 5 militia or shields with them and get them out of here now.
To be caught in the open, slaughtered on the fields.
Send them to Whitestone is what I'm saying. Not.
What makes you think there's not people blocking the roads on Whitestone?
I don't, but
So you'd like to take that chance and send them out there to get killed by that blockade?
I mean, I'd rather not have them
Just like a
get killed
pirate.
here.
Wonderful.
Enough.
Captain Isabel says, I'm sorry, what?
Nothing.
Forgive us, Captain. Personal issues, but nothing.
We have little time for such
Right.
things right
Agreed.
now.
Erdan, are you ready to leave? We shall carry on to the tribes.
Might as well.
I wish you the gods' speed.
Best of luck, Captain.
May your words be convincing.
The children.
Hold
Not
them in
those
hand.
words. Not those words.
That didn't come out of Noxus's mouth.
Alrighty, so you guys
Hordwood
exit
shall
the
be-
tent.
Yeah.
You look around. The town is busy. Everyone contributing, trying to do their part, and getting ready for the defense of Turst. You mount up your horses.
As we start getting to the horses, Cortanus is going to take a moment. My lord, a moment.
Of course.
Before thou leavest, I apologize that I did not pass this along at the time. Thou hath seemest most predisposed as of late, and you had much to think about it, Drina. And she reaches into a pouch and pulls out a little thing and holds it out, and it's the charm. I thought thou wouldst appreciate a token of victory added. Thou seemest to not have that much time back in Drina.
Most certainly. My gratitude. When did you come upon this?
'Twas in the market, back at Drina. Well, perhaps a good token of that time, in case I do not return.
Indeed. You will return. We will all return. I shall.
Then, best of luck, my lord.
Cord watches out over us.
Of course. She'll head over to her horse. Art thou ready, father?
Let's go.
I just stand there, watching Cortanus leave.
Okay. You all mount up your horses. Exchange your three knoll guides. Essentially say, we on these horses should be able to negotiate their services and ride back ahead of them within a week. Should it not take more than a day to convince them? And you all gallop away into the grasslands, not sticking to the roads, but taking direct routes toward each tribe. We cut to each a top-down view as you all sprint off and gallop off on your horses in opposite directions, 3 opposite directions, and let's see who we're gonna go with first.
Don't be me.
So 1 or a 2 will be the White Snout tribe. 3 or 4 will be the Priest Eaters, and a 5 or a 6 will be the River Walker tribe.
Damn it.
Priest Eaters.
Well,
So,
time for cord bros.
well, no, Priest
Oh, wait,
Eaters
no,
would
right,
be
that's Seo
Noxus.
and Noxus. Sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Seo and
You're
Noxus.
walkers.
Let's keep. Yeah.
So Seo and Noxus, as you exit out the village of Turst, you come out the one area where a few militiamen pull one of the cavalry barricades to the side as you bolt through, with who leads you sort of west southwest towards the hills there. He as you travel, is there any conversations that you try to have or questions you have for Sharik during your ride?
So hey, Sharik, do you happen to know? I had a question. I'm trying to remember it.
No worries.
Oh, so the main force are hobgoblins and goblins. So, do you remember the god that I believe it was Erdan. Erdan had said that they worship a specific god. Do you remember what that god was?
Uh, Let me see if he remembers. Oh, he rolled. I believe your friend said it was someone called the Strife Emperor.
Strife Emperor.
Yes, yes.
Cool.
They have heard of.
What was that, Sayo?
I can't say I've heard of him.
Yeah, the only time I ever heard it was Erdan said it. So
I believe they are one of the betrayer gods.
betrayer. Well, that's gonna be our ticket to get them to come with us. So we gotta. Um, do you know them to be one of sport or challenge? Do they like when someone walks in and they're an outsider to gain favor? Would they challenge the chieftain or one of their great warriors and fight them in combat, something like that? I know some like tribal tribes do that. I said tribe twice. I know some nomadic tribes and other stuff like that. They do that.
Well, they are not nomadic.
Right.
Knox, you want to challenge them 2-on-2?
I mean, if it has to come down to that, and that's what is going to get them to win their favor, then
I
that's
mean,
what
they
we got
do
to do.
respect strength and they are blustery, but they have a sense of responsibility about them, and contests of strength are part of their society.
Well, if strength's the thing, then you and I are pretty strong. You're stronger than me, but strength is definitely a good thing to have for this. Best two people are there.
Say,
What was that?
Sayo blushes.
You guys ride for 3 days, just galloping through the day, not even stopping for lunch, stopping at night to sleep, and then first light you continue riding on. About halfway through the third day, you begin to see the village of what must be the village of the Priest Eater tribe on the horizon. You see large hills covered in grass that come up out of the ground, and out of them, dug through them, almost like this anthill or hive-like structures of tunnels that appear to come out at all different angles on these hills. You see these enormous gnolls with these huge claws coming their hands. all as they walk, almost like Pigpen from Peanuts, as they walk around, like hair and the like dust and dirt just like kind of falls out of their fur. And they all have these very like brownish reds and other yellows and colors that are probably made from ground up paint, from ground up like roots, that patterns all over their bodies of paint patterns. The entire village smells of wet soil. And each knoll you look at is bigger than the next. Some of them as big as you can only imagine. They must be touching 8.5 feet tall. They're just ridiculously large, and they have strong arms and shoulders, with these giant claws that come off the end of their hands that are almost completely caked, like just completely caked in dirt from the constant digging that they do. Um, and as you come riding into town, Sharik says, um, "Don't show weakness. Look them straight in the eye and stand tall."
I do just that.
Um, as you come riding up and come to a stop, you see as three hulking gnolls come running up to you, on like almost. They kind of have this hunch to them, and when they sprint, they almost kind of go down onto all fours, almost like a giant hyena running towards you at pretty high speed. But they pull up short as they seem to recognize Sharik, and they say, they pull up short and say, "You bring outsiders?" And Sharik looks at them and says, "We are here to see Adnurk. It is an emergency." They kind of look you up and down, Sao and Noxus.
I stand tall and proud and look them straight in the eye.
My eyebrow.
Each of you make an intimidation check.
I'm proficient in that. All right, that's a good one.
23. 13. One of them, they all kind of look at you, Noxus, and you kind of give them that like little flinch thing, and they kind of, one of them actually flinches. The other two kind of come up over to you, Sao, and start like sniffing you a little bit. They say, "Very well." And they start leading you through the lower portions of the village as you see heads poking out from all of these different holes that are running out of the hills. And you are led up the largest hill. And as you get to the top, you can see this enormous knoll be 10 feet tall, sitting on just a huge throne made of what looks to be clay, like sculpted clay. And there's the same paint that adorns the bodies of all these gnolls adorns the throne, as if there's been just more and more of it added art onto this throne over the years. And as you are led up, he stands up out of his throne and goes up to his and his massive arms kind of droop, his hands almost falling to like below his knees. And he kind of like arches his back to like stretch, and you hear like this popping and like of like the cracking of like bones and sinew. And he just kind of looks down at you and, "Who is this that is brought before me?" Sharik steps forward and says, "These are friends of the Dustpaw tribe, Noxus of the Dragonborn people, and Sao of the human world." The village of Turst, which we trade with, is in dire straits and in need of our assistance. And Adnruk steps forward and says, "What, the humans cannot take care of themselves?" Shuri kind of looks to you guys.
In the situation that is right now, there are thousands of goblins, hobgoblins, bugbears, orcs, all coming to take over the Turst fields.
They are
With,
What's that, Sal?
They are vastly outnumbered.
Yeah. And this leader of theirs, Grood, wishes to take over the entire Turst fields and control the entire western, right? It's the western?
Eastern.
And to control the entire eastern side of Taldore, which includes your tribe.
Make a persuasion check.
That is performance, that is perception. There is persuasion.
Let this Grood try and come here and tell us how to live. It is my responsibility to protect the priest eaters, not the people of Turst.
You wouldn't just be you would be protecting the priest eaters by doing this, because they not only want to take over Turst, they want to take over the entire eastern hemisphere of this continent, which includes you. And just to be frank, there's a lot of goblins, and we all know you guys don't really like the gods. I don't like the gods either. So they're pretty radical when it comes to their beliefs. And I'm pretty sure that they're going to try and do everything they can to push their beliefs on everybody on this side, if they do win. Now, I'm here asking for help for these people and for your people, mainly your people, so that your people can still be who you are called to be.
Make a persuasion check. That's better. I have sympathy for the people of Turst, but strength is the way of these lands, and if they are not strong enough to protect what is theirs, then why shouldn't this Grood you speak of take it? I have no love for whatever god they wish to push on this land. Believe me, it will not enroot itself here.
Well, I don't know how you feel about the Strythem, the Betrayer gods, but I know they're no good. I can tell you this.
Who is this emperor you speak?
Well, that's the god they worship. All I can tell you is Betrayer gods, from what I've learned, they're not good. They don't just come in and put a temple. They pillage, they destroy, they kill, they steal. Like, there may not be any people left for you to have a cause, is what I'm saying. And it's not me threatening you. It's me making reality of the situation.
You hear a chorus of whispers in the back of your mind, Noxus, that says, "Those that respect strength don't respond well to begging. They respond well to those that give orders,
And
taking
I will.
the power.
All right. And I will say this.
Subjugate them.
I'm just trying to think of the words for a second. I will say this. To me, it seems you're weak and you don't even want to go up for a fight. I'm here ready to fight for these people. I like fighting, and I like showing how strong I am because I fight. But where you sit and I stand, it doesn't seem like you want to.
It's a layered check. Make an intimidation check.
Roll for insult.
Yeah, roll for insult.
My heart's beating really fast.
Roll for
You swarmy
reverse
bastard, roll
psychology.
That's kind of the role I was going.
Ooh. Okay.
Yes.
Woohoo!
25.
Thank you.
It was a good roll.
Thank you.
Wait.
Oh.
Wow.
The dice
He
gods
looks at
blessed
you and says, "Are you saying that Adnark and the Priest Eaters can't take on this challenge?"
That's exactly what I'm saying. Prove me wrong that you can, because I believe you can. I just think you don't want to.
He looks you up and down and says, "You say you have strength and power, and you wish the Priest Eater, the strength of the Priest Eaters, to follow you in battle? Demonstrate your power, your strength."
Time and place.
That means now.
Oh, okay.
Is what's around me? Because I don't want to.
You remember the scenes in the Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers, where they're chasing the hobbits and the Uruks across the hills of Rohan? That
Sure.
kind of landscape, that like rocky, hilly grassland landscape.
Yeah.
That's essentially what's around you and what they've burrowed into. And you are in the center of this area. There's like that big hill that like Edoras was built on top of.
Mm-hmm.
In the center of those plains, there's like that
Mhm.
big hill that they've all tunneled through, and you're kind of at the top of this hill, where this big clay like it looks like it's like the same clay you would see of a vase, but it's like a solid piece of, but it's a giant throne that has all this like uh, iconography and like war paint all over it that he's standing in front of. And there's like a few dozen dirty knolls with every movement. Some more dirt kind of like falls off of them.
Yeah.
Is this like the Black Panther cliff scene?
Sort of,
Okay.
minus the
Okay.
waterfall.
Okay. So this is what I'm thinking, and if I can't do this, just tell me, and then I'll go with my backup idea, which I believe was what Sayao and I were originally going to do. My big idea is I don't want to fight them right now.
Uh-huh.
My idea is I want to find something, and I kind of want to. If there's anybody in the way, I want to move them away, and I want to create a fireball, and I want to blow something up.
Okay. Make a perception check. You look around. You're kind of like you have this look on your face, like demonstrate my power, and then you can almost see the light bulb go off over Noxus's head as he kind of looks around, and you see a patch of ground that's like off down the side of the hill. Um, there's this huge boulder that it looks like there's a bunch of the gnolls trying to dig around to dig out. Um, and you kind of like look at them and tell them to move, and they back away. And there's this huge boulder just there that they've been trying to get out of the way so that they can tunnel through.
I would like to cast a fireball and blow it the hell up.
Roll your damage on the fireball.
So is at a level 3, right? I'm at level
Yeah, so it's 8d6.
26.
All right, roll another intimidation check.
Yay! Of
With
course it was
advantage.
gonna
I'm
be
sorry.
low.
With advantage because you got over 25 on your damage for the fireball.
Yay!
Wow.
Double natural fucking 1.
Wow. Wow.
Of course it fucking happens.
So you launch the fireball, and the huge, all the area around the boulder remains, but the ground and area around the boulder is blown away, and it just starts to roll down the hill. So at first everyone goes like, "Oh, cool! Yay! Thanks. That was going to be like hours of work for us to do, and now it's done." But you see that there's like a cart of supplies at the bottom of the hill that it just crushes. And the chief Adnurk looks back at you with this look of like, wow, seriously, that was like our dinner. But then realizes you just made something explode using your mind, and he says, looks you over, and all right, here comes the final roll.
Yeah, if you don't get better than a natural 1.
Well, no, it's accumulation. You know, it's a skill challenge. You made multiple rolls, which helps set the DC for this. He looks at you and says, technically it was a 9, yeah, because you had advantage. Remember?
Oh, okay.
So you should have only rolled once more, but
Oh, my bad.
he looks you up and down and says, very well. I will gather my warriors and we will be in Turst in a week's time.
Is would I know that is too late or too soon?
No, that's
about the time we need?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I just wanted to be sure.
For now, we do the ritual of wartime.
Sounds good to me.
With that, he claps his massive hands together, and you guys have like a full-on, like, night before we're about to go to war, boys, time to party. Night with the Priest Eater tribe, where they are feeding you their homemade moonshine, that they make with dandelions.
Oh dear.
And
And priest
yeah.
body parts.
And they have a huge boar that they do like a huge pig roast where they like, it's almost like they do it in Hawaii where they dig it up in the beach, except they dig it up in the ground, and
Right.
they do like they roast like 3 boars and the whole tribe, and then there's this big ceremony around a fire at night where they all get their war paint, and they all start war painting each other up, as they get ready to ride out the next day. So congratulations, you have recruited the Priest Eater tribe.
Would you like to give me their stats now or later?
I will give you their stats now. The Priest Eater gnolls have an attack of +4. Because they're big, strong bastards, and they don't even need weapons because of their huge claws they have. They do 2d12 plus 4 damage.
2d12 plus 4. Holy cow.
Yeah, for bastards. Woo.
They are fairly easy to hit. Only a 13 defense. But they have a morale of 200.
Damn.
They're big, strong barbarian type dudes.
Nice.
And their special ability is they have a burrow speed. They are diggers by trait, and they can full on like Bugs Bunny under the ground like a mole almost.
Well, that'll help us when
long
we
as they
need
don't-
more tunnels, Doug.
As long as they don't miss a turn in Albuquerque.
Take inspiration.
Sweet.
Good job, you guys. You got
Pressure's
the
off
Priest
me.
Eater tribes to.
I think that was probably one of the more important ones. Big guys.
Yeah, they are tanks.
We got the football team.
You
Yeah,
did
we're
basically.
definitely
Yeah,
gonna need the jocks.
yeah. You went and you
Jocks
got.
Machina.
Yeah. All right. Let's see who's next. Odds.
D4.
Odds will be.
Oh, even better.
Odds will be the White Snout tribe. Riverwalkers will be even.
It is even.
Riverwalkers. All right. So, Shango and Erdan, you guys take off like a of lightning at a full gallop with Isnel, the chief of the Dustpaw tribe, as you bolt towards the village of the Riverwalkers. You have, she tells you, you guys have a 3-day ride ahead of you.
All right.
Shango, please fix
That's
this.
fine.
The first night before we lay down, I'm just gonna. But I wanted to tell Erdan, strength is the responsible. Sorry, greatness comes through the responsible use of strength.
What?
Take it to your mind.
Take it. To, what? What? Where? How we? What? What are you talking about, Shango?
Reflect on how to use your power and how to use it for the greatness of yourself and the Stormlord.
I feel like I've been doing that.
Then continue on your path.
Thank you. All right, I'm gonna go hit the sack so we can get up early to keep riding. Thanks, buddy. Okay. Just gotta like roll over.
And waking up the next morning, like I'm looking around, kind of startled, looking around like I'm looking for something.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, not finding it, and eventually just getting up with a small sigh.
All right. You guys take to the road again. Another full day of galloping towards the Riverwalker tribe's village.
Second morning,
As yep,
second
sorry, go ahead.
morning, just in the morning. Second morning, the same thing as before. Like waking up, looking around, like I'm missing something.
Do I notice this time?
What's your passive perception?
It is a 15.
I would say so, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not really hiding it, I guess.
Are you, are you okay? Are you missing something?
It
Been a while since you've
surprise.
been this way from Cortanis.
Indeed, it's been weeks, months since I've been on my own.
You're not unknown, friend.
My gratitude. I should clarify. It's been a long time without her by my side.
It should be fine. You'll be fine. It's gonna be okay. Don't worry about it so much.
I hope we will succeed.
We no hope.
Okay.
There's no need to hope for it when we're gonna do it.
I admire your um, certainty in this endeavor.
Then afterwards, we'll etch out this whole dealing with the liars.
It will have to wait. I think there is a bigger task at hand to this point.
Yeah, we need to save the town first, and then I'll make my decision.
It is a wise choice to put your priorities where they need to be.
Yep, I've got all my ducks in a row.
I wish I could say the same.
All right, let's head off. We got
Onwards.
quite a trip in front of us still. It's like another day, right?
Yeah.
Boy.
You guys take off for another full day of another of of galloping. Um, as you bed down for the second, as you about halfway through the third day, you start coming upon you start traveling along a riverbank on what looks to be like almost like an actual road. Not less a road, dirt path. And in the distance, you begin to see what looks like a wooden palisade. Um, and as you,
What's her name? Isnell, right?
Isnell, yes.
Isnell, say, is this the encampment of the Riverwalkers?
Indeed, it is.
Do they have a habit of barricading themselves?
They live in multiple smaller tribes. This is the main village, which has the palisade around it.
Remind me, what are
They
they
live up and
like?
down the river. They live up and down the river. Their chief is Umdurk. She is the logical sort. Cares about the greater good.
Oh, this should be easy then, right?
She should see the greater good in this endeavor.
This should be quite easy. All right, let's ride up and get ourselves some more troops.
One can hope.
All right. As you guys come riding up, the gate is already open, and you wave at Isnell as you come riding into the center of the village. Um, as you come riding into the center of the village, there are several. You look around, and there are several tents that appear to be made of auric hide, those large buffalo-like creatures that live out on the plains. The small little village is surrounded by. Uh, there are a couple of guard towers with what looks to be watchers up in them. There's off to one side, there's a larger, more communal tent um, where there's much going on of activity. A bunch of fish that looks like it was pulled from the river is being salted to be preserved. Um, there's a pit off to one far side of the camp that has what looks to be large boar roasting on it. And on the far side of the camp, you see what looks to be a female knoll sitting in front of a tent with another male knoll standing behind her with his arms crossed. And standing in front of her with just standing, looks as if they're having a conversation, appears to be four hobgoblins in armor.
Oh.
That is
Okay.
most surprising.
That was what a twist.
Mhm. I approach. I assume Isnell is approaching with us.
Yes. I was not expecting this, says Isnell.
Can
They
I
do not appear to be prisoners.
can I quietly ask Isnell? I presume the Riverwalkers usually do not um, bargain with the hobgoblins.
Hobgoblins are new to this area.
I've yet to encounter a friendly hobgoblin.
Well, these hobgoblins have been recruiting.
Shall see what they have to say.
That would be the smart way to go about it.
Can we hear what they're saying? Are they talking in common?
You guys are hitching up your horses. You haven't actually gotten over to where you guys
Okay.
are like over here, like hitching up your horses. This isn't exactly to scale, you know, but when they say you take up a 5 foot area, it's no one
Right
in
there.
the world is 5 feet wide. It's because you're constantly moving around and stuff when you're fighting. So
Yeah.
I'm still working on
Yeah.
that 5 foot wide thing.
good.
My biceps gonna be 5 foot.
But yeah, you guys are over here with Isnel, who's kind of like leaning on her staff. She says, "Perhaps we should get over there and see what they're talking about."
Indeed.
All right.
And I walk up.
As you walk up, you can hear one of the in the fancier armor saying, "Obviously, Captain Chief Umdirk, you can see the logic in this. Turst will fall, and the Riverwalkers into Grood's new empire. What you say you want for your people is for them to live comfortably and protected. What better force to protect you than Grood and her new army? You would be a most valued addition to our new nation.
That is
Come
a
now, who
lie.
do you think? Come now,
I
who do you
beg
think
to
you?
differ.
Come now, who do you think you? Hold on. Come now,
Okay.
who do you think you have more in common with? The human folk or us? This is about when you guys approach, and you see that Chief Umdirk is kind of leaning back in her chair that appears to be made out of logs, um, listening and taking in the argument of this hobgoblin, but notices as you approach.
Can I use? I want to cast a minor illusion to make a sound. I don't know if this is going to be too specific, like a distant thunder that sort of sounds like a low chuckling.
I'd say you could, sure. Why not?
And with that, stepping up, I beg to differ. Under Groot's empire, you would neither be protected nor of your free will.
You watch as the four hobgoblins, including the one that was talking, wheel around to look at you and say, "Ah, the humans. Of course they've come now in their hour of need."
I look around, considering that none of us are human.
Humanoids.
You are here in your hour of need yourself.
We are not
Speaks for nothing but destruction. The Ravagers stand for
This is
nothing but
interesting.
destruction.
So why are you looking for peace from them, but you're not looking for peace from Tist?
He looks at you, Shango, who addressed him first, and he says, "First of all, we are not in need of the Riverwalker tribe. We only wish to invite them. Those of the other, what you humanoids call monstrous races, should band together against your kind who slaughter us whenever they can. And if you think that we want anything like chaos, then you do not know hobgoblins very well. We look to bring order to this land, just as we brought order to the Ravagers, who were nothing but barbarian raiding brand before Grood came and taught."
They are still a barbarian raiding band. The last several encounters we had were initiated by the Ravagers trying to slaughter us. We have not
kind.
we have not referred to any what you call monstrous races. We're all free people in Tal'Darai under the same sun.
Make a persuasion check.
Persuasion, come on. There.
13. At this point, Umdirk stands up and kind of waves you forward, and the bigger hobgoblin tells his men to kind of stand to one side to give you room in front. And Erdan, you can move up there as well.
Is Isna also moving up?
I'm gonna stand within them. Puffing out my chest, which you won't.
And Umdirk says, "We would hear the arguments of anyone who wishes to debate a side to this dilemma."
Groot.
You cannot say that there is no truth in the words that this hobgoblin speaks.
I wasn't saying that. I'm just trying to understand why, if he's looking for peace from you, why isn't he looking for peace from Tirst? Well, if he says he wants order, then why is he causing chaos by looking to attack Tirst? Doesn't sound like order. That sounds like forcing order.
A marching armor is rather not. Marching army is rather not peaceful.
We said nothing of peace. We said order. And this farm village of Tirst is full with humans and halflings and other humanoid filth their borders every chance they get, and while doing so, they slaughter goblins and orcs and other innocent monstrous races as they expand said borders.
I beg to differ very much. DM, remind me real quick. Isna is the leader of the Dustpaw tribe, right? That's with us?
Yes, it is the chief of the Dustpaw tribe,
Yes.
Isnel, that's with you.
Yeah. Standing with us is the living proof that Tirst lives in harmony with the Knolls.
Isnel says he speaks the truth. The Dustpaw have lived in and amongst those from Tirst for generations, and we've facilitated the trade between our tribes and the people of Tirst.
Oh, that sounds pretty peaceful and unharmed. Understand, saw him, but it seems like it's pretty peaceful trading without any harm to anyone, and a lot of order there too.
Erdan, make a persuasion check with advantage because Isnel is helping you. And Shango is helping you.
Go Erdan, you got this.
Ooh,
Noise.
25. He looks, the hobgoblin wheels around, looks at you and says, and then looks back at Umdirk and says, "Come now. One humanoid village showing compassion is nothing to speak for the rest of humankind." He turns to Isnel and says, "What? When representatives from the biggest cities come around, they treat you with the same respect as the people of Tirst do?" Umdirk, who looks her over, and Umdirk says, waves her hand, and she says, "You know, only truth and logic are allowed within this village." And she says, "That is not untrue."
Tirst is not just any village. It is the closest village. It is the humanoids that you interact most with. So having them friendly on your side and counting them as your allies.
So wait a second. So the order of this is to attack the only town to the Knolls that gives them any sort of trade routes, that helps them and is peaceful with them, and not attack anyone else. You're just going straight for innocent people right off the bat that have done no harm to anyone. There's no logic in that.
They can trade peacefully with us once we take the land for ourselves, and we will be far more generous than the humans.
The Ravagers are not known to be generous.
The Ravagers are no longer in charge. Grood is, and she is generous. And he takes out, he motions one of his men who steps forward holding a large chest that you hadn't seen before. He sets it on the ground, opens it up, and inside you see it's just full of gold coins.
Can I estimate how much it is?
Just make an intelligence check.
Where's my intelligence? There it is.
21. It's probably a couple thousand gold pieces, give or take.
Okay.
Umdirk looks down and begins to play with her chin a little bit like someone does when they're thinking.
Yeah. How much is gold of worth to you compared to the piece of your tribe, open trade routes?
Make one last. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
And harmonious and harmony within your fields.
I'm gonna touch him on the shoulder and be like, "Yeah, he's right," and give him guidance.
Oh, okay. Make a persuasion check with guidance. And also advantage, because I was going to say, because you're getting assistance.
All right, so I'll just roll again.
Roll one more. 13 and a D4 from guidance.
Oh, come on.
Hey,
17. You watch as Dirk is kind of like playing with her chin, and you can almost see the gears turning in her head. And as the hobgoblin goes to speak again, she holds her hand up. And he stops, and she says, "You, what are your names?" And she is pointing to you, Shango, and you, Erdan.
I am Shango of the Ashari, with a slight bow.
She kind of nods.
Dan Stoneridge from Amon.
Your logic is sound. She kind of looks at you, turns to the hobgoblins, and says, you may take your bribe with you."
Haha, no logic in Barbary.
He kind of looks at you guys and says, "An unfortunate decision. Grood will not be pleased when I deliver this news. She will, however, be more pleased when I deliver your heads." And I need you guys to roll initiative.
God damn it.
Deliver your heads. You're so cool, man.
Which just goes to shows Groot's.
I don't think they thought this through. There's 4 of them, and oh wait, of course, I'm stupid.
Bunch of fucking nerds.
A bunch of nerds, yeah, but hopefully magic nerds. Who knows?
Alrighty.
There's people in the trees. There's people in the trees, man.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm expecting too. Probably an
People
ambush.
in the trees, man.
The trees.
There's people in the trees. And we thought we were gonna fight. Yeah, I know, right? I was like, I don't want to fight. I don't want to fight. I don't want to fight.
Yeah, we walked
All
up.
right.
From the far distance, Katas is having a slight heart attack.
So the gnolls would act first, but they are just kind of standing back to see what's going to happen. The hobgoblins rolled much better than you on initiative, so
Not surprising with my amazing 6.
yeah. So this guy turns around and he. Hold on, I gotta get my you and you open. This is why I do this for easy access to these things. Okay. The hobgoblin that was doing the talking says, "There, go for their weak points, flank them." He's going to use his leadership,
Bastard.
so his guys get to add a D4 to their attacks. This guy's going to slide around here, and this guy's going to slide right in here. All right, those two guys above you, Erdan, are going to take their attacks against you.
Mm-hmm.
This is another way I was able to help Shango catch up on some XP a little bit.
Yay!
As they pull out their long swords and they swing them at you. That is a 9 and a 17.
Nope.
Both miss?
Yep.
All right. Oh, wait, they get to add a d4. I forgot.
Oh.
I'm not going to bother with the 9, but the 17
Yeah.
might. 17 goes up to a 19.
Yep, that hits.
19 hits. Ha ha! So you take. Ooh, they have martial advantage. So you're going to take. You take. Boom. That. And that. 7, 8, 9, 10 points of slashing damage.
I'm gonna rebuke him.
Ooh,
So he
you
has to make a
thunderously
dexterity.
rebuke.
He needs to make a dexterity save.
That's a. What's your DC? I'm pretty sure that's a. No, that I don't even. That's a failure. He fails.
All right.
Roll damage.
2D. I don't think I made that one yet. So we're just gonna do it this way.
10 points of damage. Yeah, the guy right in front of you, right above you, that he drags his sword across your back and it hits an area that's not covered by armor. You wheel around and just blast of thunderous energy releases from you, and he just gets knocked on his ass and does not move afterwards. This guy down here is going to swing at you, Django. That is 19 also to hit.
That hits.
You suffer 13 points of slashing damage.
13.
And then the big guy here is going to make his he's going to make his 2 attacks with his big ass greatsword against you.
You as in me, Shango, or Dan?
Yeah, as in against Erdan. The first one is a 21 to hit, and the second one is a 21 to hit. I assume those both hit.
Shield.
Shield? They both miss?
They both miss.
Ooh. So what does that look like? Is it like a static electric barrier that makes the metal
He
sword
goes to
deflect?
hit me. I don't even move. It just hits. Like thunder just strikes and smacks his weapons away.
Yeah. And he looks at you like, well, that's not even fair.
And I just look through. I just look through my hair like, gonna have to do better than that.
Erdan, you're up.
With that, let me read some stuffs here. You know what? I'm just gonna inflict wounds at a 3rd level on the big guy.
On the big guy? All right. Roll melee spell at the 20. Oh, why did you have advantage?
Oh, that's not an advantage. So just a 13.
Unfortunately, a 13 does not hit.
Alright.
You smacks your hand away with the flat of his sword.
That was rude.
That's your action. Anything else?
No, it doesn't really look like I can move, so.
All right, Shango.
If I take a quick glance over at crap, what's the leader's name again?
leader of the
The
Riverwalkers,
Riverwalkers, yeah.
Dirk.
Does it look like they care particularly if we draw the fight away from them, or
She's in shock, like she was not expecting. She's
Okay.
just kind of like, wait, she's still trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. That's
Okay.
why they didn't act right away. They were just so shocked that
Yeah.
these guys decided to turn and attack.
So is that one guy that's dead on the ground.
Okay. So first off, I'm just gonna shout out. This just goes to show Groot's dishonesty. And what am I
Dirk
gonna call it?
says, "We've kind of already agreed with you. That's not necessary."
Eh.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. I'm gonna start casting magic missile, and I'm gonna use the tempestuous magic to give myself to use my bonus action to give myself the 10 foot of flying speed. And
Okay.
possible, I would like to fly straight over it. And
You're gonna go. Oh, you're gonna make it. You bump over Dan.
Yeah,
so
you can
since
just
it's
fly right
flying,
over me.
since it's a flying
Okay.
speed, so I start.
All right. Well, you
gathering-
have to cast the spell. You have to cast the magic missile first.
Yes, cast it before or after.
Oh, before or after? All right. So
or
then.
after, yep.
You can
Alright.
use a bonus action in your turn to cast immediately before or after you cast, right?
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, so if I do it right before or kind of simultaneously. Okay.
It
So as I'm
doesn't really
gathering,
matter.
yeah, as I'm gathering the energy around me, there's like a wind that picks me up and pulls a little bit of dust into two guys next to me in their eyes, so they
Yeah.
can't take any opportunity attacks because they don't really notice me leaving.
Uh huh.
And as I'm flying over, I reach out my right hand where the crackling starts from the wasteland, going into my fingers and releasing 5 bolts of magic missile cast at 3rd level
Ooh.
onto
Who?
onto the captain.
Oh, okay. Roll damage.
1, 2, 3, 4.
4, 5. Well, that's pretty good.
Nice.
5,
Those are good
10,
rolls.
15 plus 8 is 23.
Yep.
Wow, 23 points of damage. Yeah, that guy just like a machine gun. He's just he just like drilling him from all different angles. He's like anime missile swarm, just from like all these different angles, drilling him. He's looking super bad. He's looking super rough.
And then I'll just
This early in
step
the
a little
fight,
bit back.
and looks like he's sort of regretting his decision to try and kill you guys.
And then I just run over here and finishes my turn.
All right. Give me 1 sec.
Now, if I were more dexterous, I would say I did a flip, but
I was getting warm. I had to take the sweatshirt. And I got my
Nice.
Strong Jaw Ale shirt in the mail because they did a re-release, and I was like, man, if they ever do a re-release Strong Jaw Ale shirt, I'm totally getting it. Because I was mad I
stuff.
missed it the first time around, but and it's super soft and comfortable. All right, so at the top of the round, the gnolls go. You watch as every single gnoll in the village kind of turns towards the bad guys. They hold up their hands, and each one of their hands starts to glow with a different color of arcane energy.
Yeah.
And they all just like all of them simultaneously fire either a ray of frost, a fire, or what's it called, scorching ray, or a witch bolt, or some other of arcane magic thing at each one of these guys, and they all just get drilled from several different angles, and they all just fall to the ground dead. And Umdirk turns and looks at you guys and says, if it wasn't obvious already, it looks like you have the Riverwalkers with you.
Our gratitude is to you already.
Thank you kindly.
And so you have earned the loyalty of the Riverwalker tribe. So you gain access to their abilities. The Riverwalker Gnolls have an attack of +4. They have a damage of 2d8 plus 4. They are ranged units. They do not do well in melee. They have a morale of 100, and they have an ability. Their special ability is called Arcane Barrier. They can essentially create like an arcane barrier, like a mage armor that will encompass any adjacent units that are next to them. So basically, they can collectively concentrate their innate arcane abilities to create a barrier that will protect them and any other units that are adjacent to them.
So what's their AC? Because you never said their AC.
Up to 2 adjacent units. Their AC is 12. Their defense is 12.
Thank you.
But yeah, they create a defensive barrier that encompasses up to 2 adjacent units.
And themselves, right?
And themselves, which grants a +2 bonus to all 3 units AC. Or defense, I should say. Not AC, but defense. You stay for the night. They provide you with freshwater fish that they've fished out of the river, and kind of show off these, and you guys trade little magical secrets. But in the morning, you ride back to Turst, and they will follow behind and say they will be there in about a week.
Do they know anything about planar travel by chance? Probably not.
They do not. They have access to basically, they all can do cantrips, and then collectively they can do this arcane barrier thing.
Except for the guys that are doing witch bolts.
Well, Witch Bolt's a cantrip.
No.
Witch bolt?
No, it's
I'm
not.
sorry,
You're
it's
like
not Witch
Shocking
Bolt.
Grasp.
No, not Shocking Grasp. What's
Firebolt.
Eldritch Blast. Eldritch Blast.
Eldritch Blast. Okay.
Eldritch Blast.
Eldritch Blast.
Okay.
Eldritch Blast.
That makes more sense.
Witch bolt.
Sorry.
Yeah, I like
not
the
Witch
witch
Bolt.
bolt. Dang.
Eldritch Blast. Was what I was looking for. But anyway, well done. Lastly, but not leastly, we jump to our third group, heading to the north to the White Snout tribe, Fike and Kurtanis and Runga. You guys take off like a flash north, to the towards the Dawn Mist Pines.
Thomas almost takes the front, but then keeps back with Ranga. Seems more like, because she seems to be really well off with a horse, at least well knowing of it.
Yeah. Kurtanis, it's been a while since you've been on a horse. You forgot how much you enjoyed it. But anyhow, it is. You guys take off like a flash through the overcast sky towards the Dawn Mist Pines to the north. As you're riding, is there any conversations you need to have either with each other or with Runga?
I mean, aside from like the actual like riding, kind of focusing her, sometimes she seems a bit nervous and is kind of like looking back every so often, especially like I don't know how long it takes, but
it's a 3-day ride to get to the.
Then probably like mornings she would be. Fike would see her going through a usual like routine of doing like sword practice, but looking kind of jittery about it, like not used to this at all.
At some point, does Fike come check on Kurtanis about being away from Shango?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, let's do that then.
Kurtanis, do you are you alright? You don't seem yourself.
I suppose I can't not be. 'Tis instinct of sorts, I suppose. I have never parted ways with my lord before. I am nervous. I hope he is all right. Well, he certainly is all right, but...
How do you know?
Well, he's still living. I know that at least. Beyond that, perhaps not.
You have like a connection to him, something or other that you could do such a thing. You could tell over like long distances whether someone's alive or not.
I did not know for certain, but there was a moment in the fight with the with the Coven of Hags that something tugged at me, or perhaps got my attention. I did not know about it before. He is the first one I've had such a bond with that I know of. I'm a strange... She takes a moment to think and just says nothing. I am strange, I suppose.
You're not strange. I mean, besides the whole like I came from another time scenario, I think you're quite normal. I know that probably doesn't give you any peace of mind, but
I suppose it is a step up from what I was, so I doth appreciate that, Father. I
you
simply wish I could be more use now to him, but
You are.
more use to...
We're gonna save this town. We're gonna get these gnolls to help us, and we're going to make sure our path to Whitestone is going to be clear, which is what he wants. I know it doesn't seem like that right now, but you kind of sort of need to play the long game.
Yes, of course. It was simply... I was nervous. He gave me a choice, but I fear choice is not something I'm used to anymore, and I'm not sure it was entirely correct by my own feelings. Mayhaps it was still the choice I made in order to follow his ideals, but that is what I'm here for, if I'm honest. So, no, it shall be alright. Thank thee, Father. I shall try not to cause thee trouble during the discussions. I canst aid thee, of course.
You should speak. you
Just
are the
gives him a
most.
look. I can't speak, but perhaps thou shouldst be the one to take the lead. I can, of course, provide aid. I have been trained as such in previous times, I suppose, from what I remember. I doth not remember details, but I remember enough.
I'm just trying to say this. You are more than the sum of your parts. You are more than a whirling dervish of death and destruction.
Gives him a look at that.
You're more than that. I wish you would see that as well. And I head back to the horse.
Takes a moment to think about that and just kind of like eventually glances down, kind of crosses her arms, and goes back over to her horse and preps things. Not quite sure she believes it, but trying.
A seed has been planted. All right, you guys continue riding for the next 2 days as Ranga refills you in about the White Snout tribe. Their chief is Enral. She is a suspicious sort, but does have a live and let live kind of philosophy, as do most of her people. However, they are a bit... They like to say they're suspicious. Others would refer to them as paranoid. And they are very stealthy, especially when in their own pines and in amongst the mist, as all of the White Snout tribe has fur that's either like a white or gray or silver, which naturally blends in with the mists of their woods. So they are master ambushers. As you arrive about through the third day on the outskirts of the Dawn Mist Pines, you have that heavy pine sap smell in the air, as you come up to the edge of the forest, and almost unnaturally, like where the tree line begins, there's this thick mist or fog that perpetuates basically from the ground up to about where the needles start on these pines. Is about where the mist goes up to usually. Odd. It's weird. It's almost like perfectly proportioned to cover the area from the needles down to the ground.
Suppose we have to get close.
I have an idea.
An idea.
I don't think we should just walk into that. I think we should set up camp outside their camp, in between some of their traps, and let them come to us. I don't think we should just saunter on in there, being their jittery state.
They did say that they appreciate those who do not simply walk into the camps, but at least present themselves before someone finds them. Correct, Ranga?
That is true. Something to do with them not being able to trust what they see in the mist.
Precisely.
So one presents themselves at the edge of the village until they are approached, giving the village time to discern whether or not they are real.
Oh.
And that should be what we do.
Oh, right. The ghosts. Right.
Ranga kind of looks around. You can start to tell now she's a bit of the suspicious, or the not suspicious type, but superstitious type.
Right.
And at the mention of spirits in the mist, she kind of looks around, and the fur on the back of her neck and shoulders stands up a little bit.
Runga, I know you said previously that you are quite adept at traversing their trapped hunting grounds. Do you mind leading the charge on that?
I wouldn't mind. Every time I come to visit, they always change their traps, though. So they're not going to be where I remember.
We'll all help,
All aid,
but
of course.
yeah, I assume you have a keen eye. You know what? Give me a second. Oh God. I have like that cowboy walk, by the way, from riding a horse. That's like the first time ever.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like.
Just half smirks at that. She knows exactly what that is.
The John Wayne walk.
Oh yeah. Give me some spurs. All right. All right. Let's be nice and good luck. And I'm going to just take a bit of water and run it over the symbol of Saren Ray, and then I'm going to bless all three of us.
Okay. So you guys are all under the effects of a bless spell. How long does that last? Minute?
Not very long.
A minute?
Yeah, it's probably. Right. So let's go.
All right. So you enter the Dawn Mist Pines. Yes. Do you leave the horses behind since you're entering a thick forest?
Yeah,
tie them up.
Find at least what seems to be the safest space she can find.
Okay. You find a little glade area where they can get some water, and there's tall grass and stuff.
Hopefully.
And the horses, they're well-trained horses. They seem to just hang out. As you guys make your way through the fog and mist of the Dawn Mist Pines, what would you like to do?
Mostly be trying to find any sort of traps and lead people around them.
Looking out for traps.
Investigation checks.
Oh, yeah, this is great.
With bless.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Where is... Oh, I get to use this now. And on my bless, even though I probably won't. Investigation, come on.
I got an 8.
Bless does not help ability checks.
It doesn't?
Okay, that's still an 18.
Attacks and saving throws.
Oh, God.
It's okay. Still an 18.
18. See how Ranga does. Ranga doesn't do too bad. As you guys are moving forward, Cortanis, you're watching Fike, and at the last second, as you notice at the last second, you're surprised he didn't see it himself, but you run over and you're able to grab him by the shoulder right before his right foot hits the ground, and you look there, and there's a rope, and you follow it. That was covered by some leaves, but his foot movement next to it knocked some of the leaves off, so you're able to see it. You grab him by the shoulder and pull him back. You start following the rope, and it goes up a tree, and it's attached. You see this huge like mud ball that has like bamboo shoot spikes sticking out of it, that would have come swinging down towards him had you not grabbed him.
That must be more careful, Father.
For the love of Sarenrae, what the fuck? Thank thee. Thank thee indeed.
Thou art mocking me.
They take their home security very seriously in the White Snout tribe.
I know they're more informal, but
oh,
thou
God.
don't need to mock me now.
I'm not mocking you. I was literally thanking you for saving my life.
Ranga says, sorry I didn't catch that one. That's a new one, actually.
I
did say they changed things on thee.
Indeed. The traps used to be less lethal. More, hang you upside down from a tree.
Times have gotten dire, I suppose.
I can live with a snare. That is a pig skewer.
Shall we continue on?
Yes, I can only imagine what they have seen in the mist to cause that.
All right, you guys continue on through the mists, looking for traps still, I imagine?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, looking for traps.
Investigation checks.
Oh, God.
All right.
Ranga, save us!
I died.
Ranga didn't roll very good either. Ranga rolled before her modifier, Ranga rolled a 6.
Oh dear.
So, Fike, you're continuing to watch now, and this time you've got your like that first trigger was on the ground, so you've been over concentrating on the ground. And you get to a point where you walk through what feels like a spider web, and then you go and you pull it off of your face, and you keep stepping forward. And as you do, you step forward, and at first your foot hits ground, but then it gives way, and you start falling face first into some sort of pit trap. And I'm going to need you to make a dexterity saving throw.
Yes!
So you fall into the pit trap. You fall, like 20 feet.
Just clawing all the way down. Just nope.
Yeah.
Wily Coyote at the top a little bit, and then.
I want Neo in the wall, the Matrix 1, just...
Yeah. You take 11 points of bludgeoning damage from the 20-foot fall, but somehow, by some miracle, land perfectly, so all the spikes that are at the bottom of this thing, like some of them poke through like your pants and stuff, but none of them have managed to skewer you. Somehow, like that game show with the wall that comes through at you with the cutout, you've landed in a way that you are not skewered by the spikes.
Oh, let's quickly try to move over the edge. Are they all right, Father?
You watch this, Cortanis, as it happens. You run over to the edge, first seeing the spikes and expecting to see Shango impaled, or not
no.
Shango, Fike.
Yeah, just suddenly, just like.
But as you come over, his body's in this weird position. It almost looks like one of his legs is double jointed, and he's somehow managed to avoid all the spikes. But he's laying on his back in this very awkward position at the bottom of this 20-foot pit.
I think I bruised my heel.
Try to
think
pull
I
out
bruised
some
it.
rope and see if we can like toss him down to him and help him out.
Thank you.
You pull out the rope, toss it, and she lowers it down to you, Fike. And the rope is like it lands like on your chest.
Yep. All right. Cool.
Make an athletics check, both of you.
Mm-hmm.
Ranga, we'll say Cortanis, you have advantage because Ranga's helping you.
Let's get that on.
Why won't it do?
Let's roll again.
There we go.
Natural 20. All right, so as you're lying there and you barely get a good grip on the rope, Fike, Cortanis gives a big yank and you get lifted right up onto your feet. Like, whoa. As you just hold on and she just straight up like pulls you up out of this pit. And as she gets you up there, she grabs you, gives you like the Beastmaster handshake to like help you out
Yeah,
the last
right.
bit of the way,
Oh,
and pulls you up out of the pit.
Whew, all right.
Please doth not make this a recurring theme.
No promises, apparently. These are very, very good traps.
Ranga looks in and says, "It has to be some sort of miracle that you didn't hit any one of those spikes."
I mean, my heel's going to be really bruised tomorrow. I'm
Perhaps
not like
thou dost
unhurt.
truly have Sanray on thy side.
Of course.
She just looks
Even
like
in the...
yeah. There's like a slight moment of like not envy, but kind of like wistfulness to that, and then she just shakes it off and goes back to work.
Well, if if you need to take a rest, Father, we can, or we can.
I'm fine. Let's keep on going.
I'm
I've
certainly
got this.
convinced that we doth need the help of this group. They are quite masterful.
This way, I believe, she says, as she continues to lead you on through the forest. I have you guys make one more round of investigation checks here. Oh, God, Ranga's rolling like shit.
Fuck.
Ranga's rolling like
God damn
absolute
it.
dog shit.
I'm getting them all out now. That's the point. Let's get them out
I
now.
also
Get 'em
got
out.
out all my natural 20s, or like all our natural 20s technically.
So Cortanis, as you guys continue on, again, Fike and Ranga are you guys have kind of spread out in like this horizontal pattern to cover more ground, and as you continue on, you come to a sort of a clearing. You still can't see more than like 10-15 feet in front of you the entire time you're in this place. It's a heavy like Jack the Ripper London fog kind of like thickness to this mist. And as you're making your way through the forest, you Cortanis, you at the last second see Fike about to step on another one of those ground triggers. But before he can, you see that Ranga hears a sound in the distance, turns and steps on it like right before he can. And at first you're waiting, you look up, you're waiting for like a spike ball to come swinging through or just like a huge tree branch, but you don't hear anything. All you hear is this sound. And Ranga turns to look at you and you see this huge like hypodermic needle sticking out of her neck. She needs to make a constitution save. She succeeds, so she takes half the poison damage.
What are the odds that these gnolls have wyvern poison?
No, they don't have wyvern poison, but apparently they have
They got the
Bill
good shit,
rolls
though.
really well on the damage poison.
Fuck.
Oh no.
There's no killer
12,
guide.
17, 18, 28,
Fike?
28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 34
Fuck.
points.
Holy
So
shit.
halved at
Okay.
16 points of poison damage. You watch as she drops to a knee and her eyes kind of roll back in her head and she just falls to the ground.
Father,
Yeah, I got it. I'm gonna juice her up. I'll give her 10 hit points from lay on hands.
All right. Do you use 5 to remove the poison?
Yes,
All right.
5
So
to remove the poison, and then the other
5.
10. The other 10. The whole healing pool for
Oh,
me.
okay. All right. So you kind of rub your hands together. They begin to glow with the light of Saren Ray as you put your hands down. You pull out the needle out of her neck. You give it a smell, and it's you remember it. It's something that your friends in your old life, like it's almost like a signature. And you know that the plant used to make it grows naturally in the Dawn Mist Pines. It's actually the only place on the continent where it grows naturally. You recognize it as um, uh, burning blood poison. It essentially increases the internal like almost instantaneously increases the person's internal body temperature to like well over like to like 110 degrees. Um, and you can there's a very distinct smell to it, so you're able to notice it right away.
Yeah.
And you kind of throw it off to the side, and her eyes kind of flutter, and she said, "Whoa, a little poison packed a punch."
It's all right. You're good. I'm gonna just do that. Throw her arm over my shoulder and help her back up to her feet.
Yeah, hold up with the other.
Yeah. Um, she says, "I think I'm all right. I'm all right." She kind of picks her short bow up off the ground, and kind of stands on her own 2 feet. My thanks, Father.
It's nothing. Like I said.
They aren't this worried. How difficult shall it be to persuade them to fight? Just like Katais is like physically like openly getting worried at this point.
Yeah. You guys continue on for like another hour. And finally, almost like stumbling upon it because the visibility is so bad. Like you almost notice it like as you're almost at the edge of the village. You come to like a tree line clearing, and there's a small village of tree houses, essentially. There's some huts that are on the ground. You look up, others seem to have built their dwellings up in the trees. And there are all these gnolls about their day, and every one of them has either like a white pelt or a gray pelt or a mix of those like colors, and they almost move like spectral spirits themselves through the camp. They blend into the mist so well.
Staying on the
And
outskirts and presenting ourselves as
Yep.
intended.
Not going in.
so you're just standing at the edge of the village,
Yeah.
just
I
in the open.
I was dead serious about buying that wind chime.
Okay,
I mentioned it before. I
Sure.
would like to just start strumming that just every once in a while. Just bring.
Katais is gonna like keep hands away
Ranga
from
is
swords
standing
for the
next to you, and
moment.
the first time you do it, she kind of like cringes, and she's like,
Yeah.
"Is that entirely necessary?"
No.
The once was.
Beg our pardons, we aren't here to speak with the chief, if we may. And just like holding
Yep. There's a bunch of gnolls just going about their day. They seem to be ignoring you. Every once in a while, it's over, and then just goes back to their business. And you guys kind of just stand there for what seems like at least an hour. And at one point, the younger ones kind of come up, and they get about like 5 feet from you guys, and they don't say anything. They just kind of stand there and look at you for like a solid like minute and a half.
Kaz gives a slight smile and a nod to them. Hello.
And they just kind of like their head, like almost like a puppy. Their head kind of like cocks to the side when you say hello.
Hey, buddy. Hey, buddy.
And they kind of.
That's fine with me. My dog loves it.
And they, after they stare at you for like a minute, they just kind of turn around and run off. And they all disappear into the biggest hut.
I'm gonna start if there's any like loose logs or brush around, I'm just gonna start piling that, and I'm gonna take all my weapons off me, every weapon that I have, and I'm just gonna kind of like just jumble them into a pile.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I have a cutlass and a glaive and a hand axe, and then this dagger and this other dagger. I'm just gonna just kind of.
Tasha's like watches that and just keeps her hands off her blades, but she's keeping them on her.
Yeah.
We are
Let's go
seeking
by.
an audience with Chief Enral.
About another 30 minutes go by, and you watch as 3 more what look like full-grown gnolls come up at this point, and Ranga steps forward this time. And as they approach, you watch as she kind of steps forward. They stand up like face to face, and the gray furred gnoll that appears to be at the head of them reaches out and just puts his hand on her shoulder, and she reaches out and puts her hand on his shoulder. It's almost like they're touching. I'm, I'm
Not
real.
a mirage.
Yeah. And he nods and says, "Welcome back, Ranga." She says, "It's good to see you again. We seek an audience with Enral." And he nods and says, "These outsiders are with you?" She says, "Indeed, they are good people.
Katas will bow to.
You can trust them. I will vouch for them." And he kind of looks at you suspiciously, and says, "If they misbehave, it'll be on your head, Ranga." She nods, as you are led into the village. The village appears to. It looks like a hunting village. Lots of people being up on tanning racks, being dried out, um, and hide being shaved. There's like a smokehouse that you can see is going, where you can smell the meat smoking in there, and you're led into to some spiral staircase, particularly thick tree trunk, and you're led up them, and you come into this large treehouse, single room chamber, and sitting at the top of this little dais in a wooden chair covered in all different kinds of furs and pelts. There's like a lion pelt up there, a tiger pelt. There's crocodile hide. There's like a big giant grizzly bear pelt hanging off one section, and sitting in the seat is this lithe female gnoll that has like this shock white fur and beaming red eye, like an albino gnoll. She has this vest that has just like 12 daggers sheathed in this vest. And leaning up against the throne to one side looks like this recurved short bow that's made of some sort of animal bone. And she's kind of like slouched a little bit, leaning back in the chair as you come in. Like one of her legs is kind of like hanging over there, and she's kind of like leaning heavily to the one side as you come in. And she says, she stands up and walks forward towards Ranga, and they do that shoulder touch thing. And then she steps over to you, Kurtanis, and she reaches out and puts her hand on your shoulder.
And follow suit, seeing what did with Ranga.
She nods, and lastly, she steps over to you, Fike, and she puts her hand on your shoulder.
I do the nice traditional pat.
She nods, turns around, and walks back up to her chair, sits down, and says, "I trust you had no trouble coming through the forest?" We've had to up security.
We fell privy to a trap or two, but nothing we couldn't handle.
We were aware they were through.
Sorry, you cut out for me.
She said we were aware of your trouble with the traps. They were reset after you went through.
Wow, that's very impressive. But we are here not a conversation of and tricking outsiders. We are here to mix words of war that will Katanas, just give me one moment.
We are here to seek thy aid.
We have war coming to.
Just being straight to the point.
Yeah. Oh, what troubles are there to the south?
A large group of, I suppose, goblins, hobgoblins called the Ravagers, led by a warmonger named Grood, seeking to overthrow the Turst Fields and take it for their own.
Turst has weathered storms before.
Not like this.
Ravages have been problems for all of us in the past, but we make do.
These Ravagers are not simply small groups of unstructured forces. They are now some sort of war unit under this Grood's conquerors, I suppose. This Grood wishes to be a conqueror of some sorts.
And why should I risk the lives of my people to save those in the Turst?
This test is the beginning of the end, not the end. They plan on expanding after this and taking all of Taldor from what they sound like they want. And I can only believe that the Parchwood would be the logical next stop to make forts and outposts, and they come in here and slash and burn, and I'd hate for them to ruin your home.
They can go into the Parchwood all they like. They won't find anything but death in there. This is the Dawn Mist, and as you can see, we will not be caught unawares.
When the Parchwood runs out, they head towards
The
Whitestone.
Parchwood, running out of timber.
For people that slash and burn, yes.
Unaware may not be the problem. 'Tis mostly numbers. They doth not seem to care how many they throw. Many are going against Turst right now, and they shall only spread across through every inch of this forest.
The White Snouts know how to defend this land. We are specially suited to do so.
Of course.
We are hunters and trappers, not soldiers.
No, but the soldiers could use amazing hunters and trappers at this moment. Those that can aid against this large force. Together, all together, this Grood's forces can be overcome.
This is true.
Make persuasion check with advantage because you guys have been helping each other. One of you make a persuasion check.
Pike, do it.
I would.
You don't want
man.
my 7 charisma doing this.
One of you make a persuasion check with advantage.
I'm doing it. 24.
24.
Cortanus, you are greater than the sum of your parts. Do this.
She's just like, you can see she's not even like paying
kinda-
attention. She's in the zone.
Yeah. She looks you up and down and says, "How large a force are we talking about here?" And what forces do you have at your back to withstand them?
We know not their exact number, but we assume in the thousands.
Now we'll give whatever number that the captain gave us an estimate, and basically, explain.
We have the shield of the Turst Fields. Countrymen of Turst have decided to take up arms as well, as along with Runga's people have pledged their allegiance. We've also sent out representatives from our party to meet with the Priest Eaters and the River Walkers as well, to recruit them.
She looks at you and looks at your holy symbol, Fike, and says, "What, you didn't want to go meet with the Priest Eaters?"
Cortaz tries not to look at that slightly and just shakes her head.
I feel like there would be a conflict of interest there.
And you hear a couple of the others laugh.
Oh, it's like a hyena cackle?
Yeah.
Of course it is.
Cackle. Yeah, exactly. And she looks at you and says, "So, you don't know what it is you face yet?"
We have faced some of these forces before. We have seen how they fight, and we know that such a large number needs more help.
They're brutes. Goblins, hobgoblins, bugbears that only understand strength. They don't have the keen mind to understand the process that goes to trapping and killing a creature without it even knowing it exists.
Yes.
What was the herb that they used to make the poison?
Blood burner.
Oh, the fine use of blood burner. I prefer my my meat cooked a little bit more than just 110. But it's a fine use, and guaranteed if you had a large dose of it, wash a wave over these fools.
Yes, these ravagers of Grood hath displayed themselves as greedy conquerors, backstabbers. They are not true hunters. They are parasites. Placate their advance, and they shall eventually gain strength and drain thy own until they attempt to turn thee to serve them or simply kill thee. And
Living against the land and not with it.
No one shall come to thy aid.
Cortanus, make a persuasion check with advantage.
Fuck! This is still a bad idea.
It's a great idea.
With advantage.
Yeah.
Watch you impress yourself.
She doesn't impress herself. But
What makes you think they won't stop at the Turst?
they follow the Strife Emperor. They only know war and conquest. And that does not stop at Turst.
I know not of this emperor you speak of.
One of the... I suppose now they are called a betrayer god. Evil, seeking only war, seeking to take over everything under an iron fist.
They will leave the
Bygones doth not work here.
leave the this world to ruin and rot, and they will find it as a victory, leaving charred earth and stumps where they stomp and call home. It's not a it is not a relationship with the earth that they should have. It is not a relationship with anything that it should have. and they have ruined their land and look to conquer more because they have run out of ruin to do.
Make another persuasion check with advantage, Fike.
Yes!
She looks you seriously in the eye for a moment, Fike, almost as if she's trying to read your soul. And she says, "If you truly think they won't stop at the Turst, I guess we have no choice. You will have the White Snout tribe at your back."
My most sincere thanks, Chief.
So you guys have earned the allegiance of the White Snout Gnolls. So the White Snout Gnolls, you guys have like a full-on war feast tonight, and they say they will be in Turst in about a week's time. They will meet you there. The White Snout Gnolls have an attack of +4. They do 2d6 +4 damage. They have a defense of 15, a morale of 125, and their special ability is ambush. If they are able to ambush an enemy unit, they get to add 4 damage roll.
They add
Wait,
what to their
You cut
damage roll?
out. Yeah.
Yeah, say that again.
4d6 to their damage roll. If they're able to ambush the enemy. Essentially, like a sneak attack. It doesn't get granted if there's like another unit engaging them.
Right.
They
It's
have
just
to
when
like surprise,
Right.
yeah, or set up an ambush, or have one other force be engaging them to distract while they flank around and come in from a side or something like that. So we will fast forward for the sake of brevity because it's getting close to 10 o'clock Eastern time.
Brevity.
You guys all arrive back in Turst around about a week later, all within like a couple hours of each other. And we'll say that Nox and Shango, you're the first ones back. Or Nox and Sayao, I'm sorry. Nox and Sayao, you guys are the first ones back. And the first person you see is Sheriff Conrad, who's... you guys come in. Here. Hold on. So you guys come in from over here, and you can see Sheriff Conrad is out there in the fields, and they are working on those pits that you guys had recommended. And this entire area right here is just a Swiss cheese of like 10-foot pits with sharpened like wooden spikes sticking up out of them. And you can see off to the side there are people working on covers for the pits.
Quite creepy.
This is exactly what I imagined.
Yeah. I probably like 10 or 15 feet between each one, but each one's about like a 10-foot radius circle that's 10 feet deep with spikes in the bottom, and they're just peppered all over that field right there.
Perfect.
And Sheriff Conrad says, looks up at you guys coming back and says, "Welcome back. I hope you're bringing good news with you."
Trust me, it's the best news you're gonna get. They'll be here in a week.
Ah, excellent. Come on into town. Get yourselves some food. and they lead you in. About an hour later, Shango and Erdan, you guys arrive in town, coming in from over on this side of the map, where you are to you run in to Captain Isabella, who is who has they've been adding they've added some barricades. Um, as she waves at you as you come riding up and says, "You'll excuse no pleasantries. Please tell me that they're coming."
They're coming.
Greetings, Captain. They are right on our tracks.
Oh, well, your friends apparently were successful as well. The Dragonborn and the gruff-looking fellow made it back about an hour ago. They said,
Acquaintances.
No
they
word
said
yet
the
of the
priest
third
eaters
party?
will be joining us. Nah, no one's seen them yet.
Shango looks visibly nervous at that.
She's fine, Shango. Don't worry.
I'm sure she'll be fine. She seemed like she could take care of herself.
She's most capable.
She's been taking care of you all this time, buddy.
That is no easy task.
So a couple more hours pass, and Cortanis and Fike still haven't returned. They would be coming from. Oops. They would be coming from up this way.
Okay.
Oh, is that a little hill up here?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll sit at the top of the hill meditating.
Okay.
Waiting.
As you wait for just kind of staring off into the about another hour goes by and it's getting close to sunset, and you're actually starting to get a little nervous now, but eventually you see on the horizon three figures on horseback coming galloping towards the town. Shango.
I start walking towards them.
All
This
right.
time at the forefront, because she knows exactly where she's going this time.
Yep. What are the rest of you guys? Erdan, Sao, Knox, what are you guys up to?
I'm gonna probably be with trying to figure out who's gonna be on the front line
Because what?
I'm gonna be on the front with whatever soldiers are on the front line. So I'm trying to figure out what the strategy is for
Isabella,
the defense.
that she, as far as she can tell from looking around, your best frontline fighters are going to be the
The
shields.
shields. Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
figured.
Then I'll go and I'll because of my dad being part of the knights, forcing me to train and stuff with them.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go and I'll try and whatever he taught me, try and teach the militia to give them a little one up and
Okay.
give them some, encouragement and train them.
Cortanis, you see Shango walking down that hill towards that little farming field as you are coming, riding into the village.
That's relief.
But as he comes out to meet you, you guys kind of meet right at the border, right here at the end of that field.
Carefully slow down the horse and then just casually hop off it. She's used to that.
Yeah. I'll do one of those weird where I start walking up, like holding the hands out, like I want to do a hug, and then like going to a handshake, and then like not really sure what to do with my hands. So I
Just immediate instinct She just drops to a knee and just lowers her head. I'm glad thou art right, my lord. The mission was a success.
That is good to hear. I'm glad to see you again. And he holds out a hand for her to stand up.
Then she takes it and stands up. This was no simple task. She just glances over her shoulder slightly. I fear the father requires protection in greater frequency than thou needest, my lord. Just gives a slight shake of the head with a smirk.
I'm sure your capabilities are great and you will be able to protect us all. We had an interesting encounter with more of Groot's followers.
She just gets, tense at that a moment. Is everyone alright?
Yes, the Riverwalkers made short business of them after the dishonesty was clear and the alliances had been made.
That is a relief. I'm glad.
So at this point, Isabella comes and collects all of you and brings you into the war tent again. To say, and as you all kind of gather around, she says, "There's more food there for you since you guys have probably been hungry from riding all day and not really getting, during the day to stop and eat anything because time is of the essence." She brings you
I'm
all
gonna
kind
get
of.
Can I get 2 cubes of ice and whatever the strongest alcohol is? The carriage.
They actually, Sheriff Conrad helps you out, and he actually pulls out a bottle of courage. He says, "I've been saving this for a rainy day, but
Oh, boy.
you know."
More interested in the ice. Thank you.
Anyway, as you guys kind of gather around the table, Captain Isabella says, "We've been able to make some progress while you're gone. The fields to the west have been sufficiently pit trapped, and we've been able to add on some more palisade wall and more pinch points in the town. There are some bigger gaps though that have hard to fill in. From if everyone hasn't been caught up already, it appears that our diplomats," and she says with a wry grin on her face as she indicates towards all of you, "have been successful in getting us reinforcements, and they should be here within the week." She kind of turns to all of you, letting you guys decide amongst yourselves who should go first. But what kind of capabilities can we expect them to bring to the table?
The Riverwalkers are magic users, capable of fighting from a distance.
Anything special?
They have a shielding capability. They can shield our troops from damage.
Interesting. She kind of turns and looks at the other two groups.
Glance at
The white snouts possess a quite the adept ability to ambush attackers. So if we possibly set them up in some kind of foxhole situation, they could pop up from underneath the ground and utterly destroy the backline of any incoming troop.
Perhaps they could. How quickly do you expect them to be here?
Within the week.
Well, if Groot's forces haven't arrived by then, perhaps they can go out and maybe some of you that are a bit more stealthy can aid them in going out and seeing exactly what we're up against. A small scouting mission, perhaps?
I could lead that charge. I wouldn't mind.
She turns and looks at you, Nox, and Seao. What of these priest eaters?
Well, the priest eaters, they're really fucking big. They're strong and they're big, and there's a lot of them. So one of the other things that I found out is they can dig really well. So maybe we might be able to connect some tunnels. Who knows? But these guys are either frontline or they're definitely the ones that are the front line and taking a lot of soaking up that damage. So
Perhaps these foxholes Fike speaks of, they could assist with.
absolutely. I was also, thinking possibly connecting the spike tunnels because I'd noticed that they're 10 feet apart, and if we have enough time, maybe they can dig and weaken the integrity between the spaces, thus creating more of a fall point. But if we have time, that's something we can explore and see if it's even worth it.
Indeed.
Forgive my lack of military expertise, but would a circling and pincer movement be useful with the white snouts tunneling behind enemy lines, aiding the priest eaters tunneling behind enemy lines, aiding the white snouts in a surprise attack of the
That
back
sounds
line?
like that sounds like a good idea.
Depending on how fast they could, move dirt and earth with an army behind them.
I can tell you this: their entire colony is made of tunnels, so I'm pretty sure they can move pretty fast.
Maybe we have them tunnel underneath the earth and create a kind of hidden little tunnel village under there, and the priest eaters and the which ones? The river walkers. What was the other one?
The
White
white
Snouts.
snouts.
White snouts.
The white snouts hide in those tunnels. When the forward troops advance, if they have any archers or anyone that's weaker in the back, they can pop out and take care of them.
It's not a bad plan either. I do like the pincer idea where we trap them from both sides. It's a really good idea.
As long as you get the white snouts to actually sneak up on their targets, I feel like that'll take care of a lot of
Well,
unnecessary annoyment.
if the priest eaters come out first, the white snouts can sneak up on whoever they want, because you said they're big and strong. No one's going to be paying attention to small trappers.
Right. They're also really good at setting traps. So if there's any traps we need help redoing, they can help us with that.
Yeah, the white snouts are quite proficient in traps.
Taz like wryly smirks at that and just kind of shakes her head.
Isabella says, I've seen that look before from people who speak from first-hand experience.
I mean, my heel is killing me something fierce. that one spike trap, but yeah, it's.
Did you fall and hit your jaw? I'm just a little. I mean, you sound a little.
Do you require
Trying to help you out there, Fike.
Thank you, appreciate
And you
that.
kept going on about your heel.
Well, if you like, one of them jabbed me in the mouth. Yeah, I took a stone to the face, but I'm all right.
Took a stone to the face.
I took an arrow to the knee. I took a bruising to the heel. Took a stone to the face. My bangers have been mashed. I'm done.
Bob,
Bob, drink your courage. Drink your courage. And
Thank you.
Did we ever talk about how the different Knoll tribes like it or don't like each other?
Oh,
They don't seem to have they can exist with one another.
Okay.
But there are
But we're not
rivalries is a
okay,
better
but-
word to put it.
Okay, so we're not
Um,
expecting them to start jumping each other, but probably also not really coordinate well with each other.
Yeah, they're definitely not gonna jump each other, but it's like those family that you don't really like,
but
like
you gotta
those
work with
those
Frenemies.
yeah those cousins that are like assholes, but you have to hang out with them anyway because they're
Frenemies.
family. Yeah.
It's like a frenemy, but they have henchmen.
Yeah. So
Much
the Dustpaw tribe and the Priest Eater tribe don't get along very well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Much coordination between the tribes we should avoid.
The White Snout tribe deals with the Priest Eater tribe quite a bit because for some reason Enral is, or not Enral, the Riverwalker tribe deals with the Priest Eater tribe quite a bit because for some reason Umdirk can get through to Anderk with her, with her logic, essentially. And the White Snout tribe have always been, good friends with the Dustpaw tribe in particular. But they're all of the same. Like it's like how the Iroquois had like a bunch of tribes, but they had the Iroquois nation, where there was like Greece with their city states.
Like Sparta and Athens didn't like each other, but
But when the Persians showed up, they were like, okay, we don't like them more, so. Exactly. So they should be here in about a week. And Isabel says, what little intelligence I've been able to gather, it would appear that Grood's forces should arrive in about 2 weeks.
Oh. Guess that's a lot of time.
I definitely think a scouting mission would be beneficial when the White Snouts do get here.
I would agree.
Maybe even opportunity presents itself. You could, at night, thin their numbers a little bit. If these White Snouts are as sneaky as you say.
Make their approach as difficult as possible.
Harry them on the road to Turst.
I would say lay traps along the way rather than going inside their camp and doing something that way. We don't want to lose more.
No.
If Father is going with them, we don't want to lose him.
Don't unnecessarily risk yourself. I just thought if maybe an opportunity presented itself.
Agreed on the traps, however.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that would be the best
I'll
course.
take care of it.
An easy march they should not have.
Well, I mean, Father, you kind of got a rock to the face, a spike to the heel. I'm a little worried for you.
Fine. I'm healed now.
Yeah,
I got better.
I got better. I'm fine. Everything. I'm happy.
I'm happy.
I just don't want you to get captured. Then we don't have you.
They probably wouldn't capture him. They'll probably just kill him.
Yeah, that too.
That's true. So
It's not a better thought.
No, yeah. So let's keep that on the DL as much as possible.
And that, guys, is I guess where we're going to leave things for tonight.
Yeah, we did it.
You were able to recruit all 3 tribes.
Hooray.
Yay us!
So now you have the Shields, the Turst Militia, the Dustpaw Knolls, the White Snout Knolls, the Priest Eater Knolls, and the Riverwalker Knolls.
So was there a point where we were all walking the line really hard, really bad?
There was a point where the Priest Eater tribe almost didn't like those. Yeah, you. I mean, the Riverwalker Knolls. You guys were just like rocking those persuasion checks.
It felt like we were just barely cruising by.
We're very charismatic.
And with the White Snouts, I mean, with the White Snouts, it was more convincing them that Grood's going to be a threat to them at some point. So rather fight him on someone else's ground instead of your own ground, And with the Priest Eaters, when you brought up the Strife Emperor, that was kind of what died in your favor, because it was not looking good for you guys at the beginning of that social encounter. But anyway, I mean, don't worry. I've also come up with all the stats for
Oh shit.
Grood's forces as well.
It looks like a lot of stats.
Yeah, her
The terrible at risk.
hobgoblin. Yeah, you
Defense
know,
2.
you haven't even learned about her number 2, Luzak, who heads her arcane artillery division.
Who does number 2 work for?
Wait, what?
Okay, Father Fight, that is your job. We're gonna find out
Yep.
who the 2 is.
Yep.
You're gonna go on a stealth mission.
Go kill the wizard by myself. Got it. No problem.
Wait, first find out that the wizard exists. Then
Yeah, first find
we
out
don't-
that he
we
exists.
No. I know it now. The DM said it. It's information I know. It's canon.
it's kind
It's canon. Now it's canon.
Cannon!
I'm looking for loser.
Wait, we have a
And
cannon?
now number 2 is literally a cannon.
Yeah, number 2 is literally an
Oh, I still have a pistol too with one shot. Like,
Don't throw away your
Then one
shot.
shot.
Don't throw it away.
And Cortana's coming through with a 20 on persuasion.
Oh,
Yeah.
One.
I needed that advantage.
She made a really good argument.
Nobody,
Oh,
you
it's
didn't
a
even believe in you.
parasite
I
argument.
believed in you.
you are more than the sum of your parts.
The universe believes.
Fike 2020. Fike's like, believe in me who believes in you.
Alrighty, who wants experience points?
Yay.
Yeah.
I have so little.
All right.
Big numbers, no whammies.
Yeah, Fike, Knox, and you guys all got 6.
I didn't hear
Actually,
what
so did
said.
you, Cortanis. Fike,
I didn't-
Knox, and Seau and Cortanis all got 6. Erdan, you got 8. And Shango, you got 9.
Yay.
And he needs it.
Yep.
Need 4 XP to level.
Oh,
I need 10.
9.
9.
21. I can't wait to be level 8 though.
Well, that's 2 levels away, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or no, wait,
Yeah,
that's
level 6.
yeah. You guys are level
Yeah,
6,
it's
right?
two
Yeah,
levels
it's,
away.
it's 2 levels away. I'm just
Pretty
really
sure
looking
we're
forward
on
to the
level
spell
6.
driver feed.
Oh, spell driver.
What's that one?
That I
When you
can
can
cast
more
2
than
level
just
spell.
a cantrip if you cast another spell.
Oh, yeah, where you can
So
do
I'm
a second
cool.
level spell and a
Yeah.
higher than second level spell.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good feat.
It really
Yeah.
is.
Some stuff. Quick thing bookkeeping wise before people go off. Does anyone know if we ever did an update to the party fund with the money we paid for the identify of the stuff that we got from the hacks and also the money that we found on the hacks?
What I have in the party fund: platinum, 1,350 gold, 3,133 silver, and 6,149 copper.
Yeah, but okay. I don't
And
know
that's
if that
what we
was-
have.
Yeah.
Did you mean like was stuff
Was it
divvied
ever
out?
No, was it ever added to the party fund?
And normally when he says like gold piece numbers, I normally throw it in there. You guys
Okay.
say I'll see it out.
Yeah.
So I normally put it in there or put it in there.
That's probably in there. And
Oh.
even if not, whatever.
Yeah, I've been keeping pretty good track of like the party fund. So
Yeah,
Cool.
you guys have been keeping most of the money in the party funds. You guys haven't really been carrying your own.
I mean, I have my own personal that I can throw in there whenever, but
Yeah.
But yeah, you guys got all the stuff from the Hag's place identified, and it was
Yeah,
paid.
just-
It was paid for. I think it was paid for out of the party funds.
That's what I was wondering. I think so. Yeah.
Yeah,
and we
Yeah.
got a boat too.
Yeah, we got a.
that's right. You got your
Motherfuckers.
folding boat. The folding boat.
So happy about the boat.
Do you expect that the battle's going to happen next session already?
I don't know. That will depend on
Okay.
things. The scout. It sounds like you guys are intent on going to scout them out next session. So
I think that'd be the smartest move right now.
Yeah, that works. Shango can just stay back in town.
yeah, that would be convenient. Shango staying back in town, helping the people get defenses ready and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, I think Nox would do that. He's not very stealthy, and
I'm
He has
stealthy, but
more
if it's at night, I
knowledge
can't
than
see.
We're gonna split the party. This is what we're doing. We're doing a stealth mission next week. Party.
I mean, we already split the
That's
party,
why
so
that's why I was like, let's not attack these people when they're asleep. Let's just see what's going on.
Well, you could just like, I mean, you have fireball, Nox. You could just like
Oh yeah,
sneak up
that's
to
very
the
stealthy.
edge. Well, no, just sneak up to the edge of the tents while they're sleeping and just launch a fireball into the middle of the camp and then run away.
What's the range of fireball? Like 120?
120 feet, 150 feet actually, I think.
Easy. Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
we will plan at dawn.
Oh dear.
Anyway, good job, guys. You succeeded in your social encounter.
Thank you.
Yay!
Thank
Oh,
you.
do we still have to sleep in the barn?
Well,
Yeah, but it's nice.
unfortunately, the militias come to town, and there's a ton of people that are looking for places to sleep because everyone's empty, coming in from the countryside out of their farms.
You can sleep in the carriage.
If you want to sleep in the carriage, you can sleep in the carriage.
Nah,
Cuddle up on the bench.
It's a very cozy barn.
it's having
Include the barn.
It's having Nox's tail wrapped around my leg all night. It's
That's why
the
his heel
problem.
hurts now.
Father, I thought we were not going to talk about that.
Just wait.
Your scabbard is in my back. I'm not wearing my scabbard. Carry on then.
It's Canada.
Tom's totally
It's
noticed
Canada.
because she's always up before everyone else going through a routine.
Odd sleeping rituals these days.
No, I'm sure this is probably
This is normal.
this is normal.
It's just that's easy.
They have old timey ways apparently. The one
Old
old timey thing
magic.
about them.
Oh.
You know, I got myself a new toy, Bill.
Oh.
It made me think of you.
Oh, that's a big
God.
D20.
Wait, what?
That's huge.
Gen D20. I don't know if my camera is still working for everybody.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't see it.
It's not
Shit.
for me.
Wait,
I
hold
see
on.
it.
Hold on.
But,
I
Try
can
again.
see it.
but like a fist-sized D20.
I can't get it to work.
Really?
Shit.
I
I want a
have
picture. Show me
Okay.
the
I have
shinies.
a big D20.
It's not shiny.
It's
Yeah,
not
like,
that big.
I don't have a big D20.
Where did my
Did
big
actually-
D20 go?
hearing / knowing that
It's
you had
only-
inspired me to get this.
Mine's only that, like,
Nice.
it's not like fist sized, but.
Yeah.
I don't have a big
I
one
was
on
looking
hand, but I
for
got my
the-
Cortana's color dye. Teal red.
Ooh.
I have my Vax dice somewhere. I gotta find them though.
You got a Vax die?
I have 4 Vax die.
Wait, didn't they do D20s for each of them? And aren't like
No, the Vax spiky
like the spiky
caltrop.
die?
Yeah. The one that's made out of iron.
Yeah.
Also, obviously.
Yeah.
What's
I gotta
that say?
Fuck.
Oh,
I can't-
is
I
that
can't see
for
the top.
natural one?
Yep.
Yeah, I can't see any of you guys. So
Hey.
I got this for. My sister
Ooh.
got me this for Christmas.
That's
What
pretty
It's-
color is that?
Like copper. It's a metal die.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
it's
wonder what color
copper.
that is.
It's copper, and then the black
Oh, it's black. Ooh.
is painted.
jeez, that's
That's
a
like-
huge
yeah.
die.
Nice. Still my
Biggest
favorite
one I
though.
can find.
Still my favorites.
biggest one I could find. I only found foam ones before that big, and I was like, that's boring. I don't want a foam one.
I must find the biggest die there is.
We have a
Except
foam
with
die that we use for conventions for doing our drinking game.
The foam one's really easy to dent though, so it always rolls a 20. Just put,
Push in the one side
I
little,
wish
like,
we could roll a 20 more often. That was a story one. We'd always get fucking not story time for that. We'd roll shit.
Alright, guys.
Thank
I'm
God.
exhausted. I'll
Yeah.
talk to you guys later.
Me too.
Like,
I'm going to bed,
thank-
guys.
Bye.
Thank
job.
God you rolled well on that saving throw. Like,
Yeah.
no, I want to. What was the damage?
it wasn't a damage thing.
Oh, it was dead.
No,
Poison?
you would have. You would have been rolling
Rolling what?
on the injury table.
Oh.
So there's a So you could have like lost an eye, or like gotten like a permanent injury.
Oh, there's my
Like-
Looks pretty
backstab.
cool though.
Like, oh, you lose. Like, there's one that's like where you get hobbled, your leg gets hobbled, and you lose